Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is time. It is finally time. Welcome to Sacred Symbols Plus, where we are doing our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Spoilercast. It's finally happening. Boys, I've been excited for this for a long time. But now's the day. I'm so pumped up to talk about this game because we haven't dug deep into a lot of the game yet. We've talked about it casually, pretty surface level stuff, but now we're getting in nitty gritty. If you're watching this or listening, we're spoiling the shit out of this game, okay? We're going to talk about everything. I'm going to say Rebirth's getting spoiled, Remake's probably getting spoiled, and potentially the original Final Fantasy VII also. Because we got a lot to talk about. So
it's all on the table, man. We cannot talk about the ending.
I'm going to just say the whole compilation of Final Fantasy VII, okay? Because some stuff could get brought up. So if you're nervous about any of that stuff, get the fuck out. Come back later. Because we're going to dive deep, all right? I'm Brad Ellis. Joining me is MrMattyPlays.
Hello.
What's up, dude?
Hello. I'm surprised that we haven't addressed the glasses in the room.
I was saving it for
here.
last.
I
looked at him,
trying to play it casual,
and I was like, yeah, let's keep this going for as long as possible.
Let's keep suspending that then. All right. Great to be here. Excited to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, boys, for joining me. I know it's 8 p.m. for them. It's quite late, so I appreciate the late time. I had to shoot some inside, but we had to get it done. Had to do the spoiler mode.
Busy day for you.
Spoiler cast. Yeah, it's a busy day. We got Gene Park, our boy. What's up, Gene?
Good evening. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock at night here, and this is the latest I think I've ever recorded with LSM before. So.
Yeah, it's a new one. Great hat, by the way. I love the hat. I'm jealous.
Yeah, totally. Courtesy of Square Enix. They take care of me. They send me all kinds of fun shit. So.
Yeah, they're good. They sent me the
they never sent me the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth like influencer kit. It came up with that fucking light up neon sign for the Chocobo farm.
Yeah, that's bullshit. You didn't get that, dude? What?
Yeah, I didn't get that. It's like,
damn, they skipped you.
I got Sephiroth, right? I got the limited edition. But I'm like, I actually kind of want the Chocobo sign a little bit better. It'll look better in the background.
Yeah, the Chocobo sign is awesome. Yeah. More unique, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Sephiroth is everywhere. Come on.
Yeah, he's everywhere. And of course, Dustin Furman joining us as well. What's up?
Hello. You left me for last, which made this joke a lot more painful to have these on, so I appreciate that. But yeah, dude, I'm eclipsed up, stare at the fucking sun today for an hour. I just had Taco Bell, of course, Baja Blast. I'm perked up,
I just had Taco Bell too. What the hell?
Dude, so I tried there's this new Cantina chicken that's like special.
That's right.
And Holly was like, what's different about it? I'm like, Holly, it says it's slow roasted chicken. She's like, yeah, what's different? I said, it's slow roasted.
The roasting is slow. Yeah.
So it was fine. But yeah, I saw the eclipse today. That was cool. I can't see. This is like doing video zero because I can't see shit in these.
Yeah, you can't.
But
see
I got to look at we were in the realm where it was like 97%. If we had gone like an hour and a half north, we would have been in the totality, which definitely would have been cool. I think Ben did that today, and he said it was awesome. But yeah, so I'm excited to talk Rebirth. I feel like this is. I was saying, I think I said to you, Brad, once that we could do an entire episode on the game and then an entire episode just on the end. So there's like so much to say. And we don't even have like Colin's playing it, and I'm sure Dagan's going to play it. So there might be another. I think we've done that before.
Yeah,
maybe
I think there will be.
We do multiple sets, but we couldn't wait any longer.
Colin's going to take like 3 months to finish.
Colin's going to take a bit. Sure. I know where he's at. It'll take him a little bit longer, but he's making good progress. He's doing work. Yeah, and he wants to do something, I believe, after he's done. So keep an eye out for that. We'll get it all in there. You brought Taco Bell, dude. It reminds me of the Taco Bell we had in New York City, dude. That Taco Bell hit the spot. I don't know why for me at that time, but it hit the spot.
It felt a little sacrilegious to be eating Taco Bell in New York City, but it was very close to...
The other place was closed. we wanted to
Yeah,
go
it was
to.
close to the bar, and it had the cantina, so it had the alcohol in it, which we've for me never experienced that. Oh yeah, and it hit big time. There was a guy staring at me in the corner, so I feel like I got like the proper experience, and it was cool because it was like a LSM crew at 11:30 at a Taco Bell in New York City. So
yeah, that was like all of us pretty much, or a lot of us. It was really sick.
It's literally all of us except for Colin and Micah. That's pretty much.
Yeah, you're right. It was everybody.
Gang, yeah,
I was sick. No Cog though, right? No Cog.
Oh yeah. Cog was ready.
No Cog or Dagan, but yeah, we were all rolling.
We had Chris.
We had Chris, Gene, me, Ben.
My dad was there too.
Your dad was there. That was fucking sick. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good time.
That was awesome. All right, boys.
Yeah, I saw you use the photo I took of Brad shooting the rifle for Sunshine.
Oh yeah,
that was a hilarious thumbnail. I cracked up when I saw that.
When I saw that photo, I'm like, well, that's getting saved because that's going to be at some point. I was saving that, and then immediately it became apparent. Like, well, I'm going to use it pretty damn quick. I might have to use it again, honestly, at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'd be perfect for like a Resident Evil or
shooting Sonic, anything like that. Great.
We should buy some guns.
I know we should. We should get some guns.
Colin should just buy us all some guns. So
yeah. All right, guys. First off, before we get into in depth with everything, I just kind of want to get everyone's general overall thoughts on the game. I'll just say quickly, I think it's the best single player Final Fantasy since like 10, around that era. It's Square Enix is like on fire with the Final Fantasy brand right now, so it feels really good to be a Final Fantasy fan right now. We're out of the PS3 dark days. Things are looking bright for us. Matty, let's start with you. What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I really, really like this game a lot. I think as we'll get into it, I think I tapered off a little bit by the end, but that's not because of the game per se. It's just like my feel with open world right now and just like what you have to do to hold me there. But everything I did was high quality, and it's probably one of the most impressive games I've ever played. Truly, like I just look at, to me, what it really is we hear so many stories of like game development woes. This took 8 years to make. It's finally out. And then you've got Square Enix just rolling up 4 years after a massive game and blowing the doors down with another part of this remake that has everything without compromises. I remember asking when I played Remake, it felt kind of, it has its purpose, but it felt kind of scaled down as you roam Midgar, and they're kind of bloating this 2 to 3 hour section of the game into much more. And I love it for what it is. But, I was left wondering, how are you going to do the romance side of things, like the dates? How are you going to do Golden Saucer and all the mini games? Like, how are you going to capture what made that game so special, which is that middle portion where it was like a million games in one. And they did it and even took it an extra mile and added so much content to it that it left me thinking at the end of this one, like, what do you do with part 3? Like, how do you go beyond this in part 3 outside of a couple of new playable characters? Like, the gameplay's perfect. I love the world. The soundtrack's perfect. Like they've expanded in so many ways. I think the only thing they can do now is let you just roam the entire continent, land where you want, roam where you want. I mean, that'll be impressive unto its own right. But they're doing something special here, and Rebirth is like just another punctuation in that. Like they've got something here, and it's just incredible to see how far they're taking this thing.
Yeah, totally. Gene, what about you, dude? I know you played the game a while ago. It's been a hot minute since you've probably played it, but tell me. Overall thoughts? Yeah,
I've been very pleased to hear everybody basically echo literally what I said in my review like 2 months ago at this point. And maybe not 2 months ago, but it definitely, it was about 2 months ago. Holy shit. Yeah, it was like mid, a little bit late February when the review embargo dropped. But I said, this is the best Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy X.
Did you? Really? That's awesome. I didn't even see that. That's so sick.
Yeah, I said this is the best Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy X. It's the best Final Fantasy since 2005, which is of course when 10 came out. Maximilian Dude said that this is it feels like the golden era of Square again. That's literally exactly what I said. I compared it to the time when they were firing on all cylinders with 6 and Chrono Trigger and like even shit like Secret of Evermore, like from the Western studio or whatever like that. But but just like Chrono Trigger and FF6 and the FF7 coming out like a year or two later, right after that, I just feel like that Square kind of lost it, and they've been losing focus. But this is basically what Matty said. Like, this is a kind of a miracle project. Like, I don't know how they were able to pull off something this expansive and this big and this like production heavy in just 4 years. But that's what they were able to pull off, and just able to match the magic of the golden era of Square.
Yeah. Dustin, what about you, dude?
Yeah, I think this has been the sentiment all around. It's just about how impressed we are overall with the almost every aspect of the game, as far as like the scale, the visuals, which obviously we can talk a little bit about performance mode being a little soft, but in general, just the aesthetic of the game. I love how it is somehow darker than the first game and also way lighter at the same time. It has a huge range emotionally, which I really liked. Yeah. And Gene, you bring up about Square Enix, just the streak that they're on right now, thinking about how, Remake came out kind of at the tail end of the PS4 generation. And since then, we've got Final Fantasy 16, which was awesome. We got this, which is awesome. We have Kingdom Hearts 4 in the next year or two, we'd imagine, which is going to be probably awesome. Dragon Quest.
Visions of Mana coming out later. Dragon Quest 11 came out 2017. 12 still cooking,
12 cooking. Yeah. And then, of course, there's, 14 as well.
Yeah.
Continually being insanely well loved. So it's a crazy time for them. Like, it definitely a renaissance, a new golden era. And I think the last thing I'll say, since this is just the overall section, is that I really appreciate that they clearly, one of the most obvious changes between Remake and Rebirth is just the overall expansion into the open world style stuff. And there is a lot of it there. Maybe too much, I think you could argue. But they made it so, first of all, that the side quests are infinitely better, I would say, than Remake. And so those are awesome. And the second thing, too, is that as far as the open world stuff, it's like, yeah, you probably should do some of it. But even if you skipped all of that, it's not like another open world game where it's like, oh, no, that is the game. It's like, no, you probably could mainline this game and get an entire experience that would be considered very awesome. Like, you wouldn't have to do that stuff. So they kind of leave you, sure, you're going to get more out of it and get a lot more gameplay, stuff like that. But if you're not really into the open world stuff, then cool, that's fine. You can kind of mainline it and get, I would probably say, an even bigger experience than the first game, even without all of that other stuff. So, and I appreciate that too, because I definitely got burnt out on open world stuff a lot easier than other people do. And so the fact that I was able to just play and not necessarily feel the pressure that I have to do that stuff, but it will be there for me, was a huge welcome. And and the side quests too, especially coming off of Final Fantasy 16, which side quests there are some good ones, but a lot of really boring ones. And so that was a concern. I know it's a different team, but still, I'm always concerned about bad side quests. And the side quests in this game, overall, pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. We're going to just go through the whole game. We're just going to go right on down. So settle in. We're going to start off first, kind of with the prologue of the game, I suppose. Game just kicks open. Zack and Cloud arriving in Midgar. Everyone's dead, pretty much. The whole crew, like Avalanche, Tifa's dead, Barret's dead. Red 13's in the chopper with Aerith, and he like attacks one of the guys piloting it, and it fucking crashes, and he's dead. It's like everyone's dead here. Yeah. Zack runs over, kills a bunch of Shinra guys, rescues him. Then it just kind of like kicks into the main game from there. But what did you guys think of that intro, that kickoff?
Electric. Yeah.
Electric.
Yeah, like I really, opening up with Zack is like a power play to me, and I personally am like one of those Crisis Core fanboys. Like, that might be my favorite point in the whole series. I just love Zack as a character, and so it's one of my, if you will, big disappointments with 7 Rebirth. Honestly, as we'll get into, is Zack. But opening with him and having him playable is like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this forever. Like we get a little taste of that with Reunion when they re-released that, and he's a lot more fluid in that game. But remakes and Rebirth's combat is just top-notch stuff. So just being able to control Zack right off the rip, like that was amazing tone setter. And we'll talk about with Sephiroth in the mix too. It was like that opening is better than that might be like one of the best openings I played to a game since like Fallout 3, which I think is like an iconic opening. Like I'll always think of that start when I think of Rebirth. It was super strong.
Yeah. Gene? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, in terms of the prologue, very bold. I was super shocked to play as Zack. Ultimately, I guess we can talk about the whole game, right? I was surprised that they decided to use that whole sequence as the title drop. This is the middle chapter of Final Fantasy VII. Here is Zack still alive, and Cloud, like him dragging Cloud's body into Midgard. This is the middle chapter. It's very strange that that's the title drop, and then the rest of the game isn't really about that at all. I think we can all agree that 95% of the game pretty much follows, or maybe like 90% of the game pretty much follows basically the original plot of Final Fantasy VII. Obviously with the interstitial Zack sequences. Did you see at the end of post game, you can actually there's the option to just skip the Zack sequences altogether?
Really?
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You can replay the entire game with no Zack presence whatsoever. That there's no interruption. You just play it like it's Final Fantasy VII again, basically. So it's very strange that they put that option in there to remove Zack altogether, and then like this is the title drop. But we can all obviously talk about more. It's just a stunning opener. It's electric, definitely. It just didn't make as much sense to me the more I thought about it. It's not my favorite part of the game.
Yeah. Matty, you touched on this a little bit. I don't know if we're talking about the whole game, so fuck it.
Yeah.
It is interesting how they open up with this Zack part. And I was like, man, maybe there are going to be... Well, first of all, I didn't know if we were going to get a Kingdom Hearts 2 style intro with Zack.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was a little... Not concerned, because in hindsight now, I love that Kingdom Hearts 2 intro. Whole different topic. But I like it now as an adult and with context. But at the time, I was like, what the fuck? I don't want to be Sora right now. But it's kind of interesting that they open up with this.
Spoiler, Dustin. Thanks.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts 2 opens, you don't play as Sora. Sorry.
I'm kidding. I knew that, but I actually forgot. I forgot that happens. So,
no, you're just the voice of the comments right now.
I'm trying to get to Kingdom Hearts 2. So
yeah. So, but yeah, I was kind of surprised that I kind of expected more Zack stuff in the game.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Matty was alluding to, basically, too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting because his sections, it's tough because his sections until you get to the end, every time you're seeing him, you're like, I have no fucking clue what's going on with this.
Yeah.
And it's not until, and even at the, I don't want to jump to the end this early in the show, but even with the ending context, I'm still kind of thinking like, I don't know what the fuck was going on in some aspects of this, but,
which is why it's interesting that they have the option to remove the Zack parts altogether. Because if you do that, if you actually play through the whole story just kind of clicks together pretty much neatly, without the Zack part.
It's like a more traditional remake at that point, right?
Yeah, it's basically the remake, basically, which is interesting.
That's why it makes this project so weird. Because again, not to jump to the complete end, but like Rebirth, I walked away like oh, they're doing that. And then you get to the end of Rebirth, I'm like, we feel more in line than ever before now. Like, what is the plan? I'm sure we'll reveal more as we dive deep into that entire ending sequence. But just, like Zack was kind of like the X factor.
About the ending already.
I know, right? I just don't want to destabilize Brad's game plan here. So I'm trying to remain reserved.
Yeah. Well, you can talk about stuff at the ending, but we're going to talk about the ending. Don't fear not. We're going to get in there.
Yes.
But I like this right away just because it's like, okay, multiple timelines. The speculation's over. We know it. There it is. I like that everyone was accounted for except Cloud in that universe. They just said there's a fugitive on the run with the Buster Sword.
Mm-hmm.
And we never see Cloud in that. Only with Cloud. Cloud is only there because of Zack dragging him, not the Cloud of that universe. So we got that whole universe going. That's right after the Shinra rush and all that stuff. So right away, start off hot. But after that, we get the flashback. We get everyone at calm in the hotel room. Cloud explaining the whole flashback to him returning to Nibelheim. Tifa's there. Getting to see a more chill Sephiroth and not necessarily total psychopath Sephiroth yet. A Sephiroth who has empathy for his soldiers. Like when that guy drowns in the river, Sephiroth tries to find him and feels really bad about it. It was so wonderful getting to see the town brought together.
Yeah.
All this compared to like, the original, of course, just seeing all the zones, seeing them all now remade is so fucking awesome. And I thought the part where you get to go to the mountain and actually play a Sephiroth was just a goddamn treat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Square Enix. I appreciate that. Making dreams come true right there.
Yeah.
But I thought that whole segment was really well done. Of course, if you know the story about, Cloud thinking, or it's actually Zack and not Cloud doing all, you see Cloud's mannerisms, and everyone who's played the original is like, I know that's you, Zack. You're doing squats and stuff. You're way too cheerful. That's not Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
All of those good little details I loved. And I really liked how they made Cloud. This is like 5 years in the past, so he does look a lot younger to me in his face. And I really appreciated small touches like that. But yeah, flashback, thoughts.
You actually mentioned something that I just adore with this game. And again, it's what makes it one of the most impressive games I ever played is like, okay, Sephiroth, like playable character. Most games are like, yeah, Sephiroth's going to be a big part of this game because we just invested so much resources into animating him, attaching controls to him. It's got a whole ass move set. They gave him like his own unique finisher with Cloud. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to play as a Sephiroth a ton. It's the only time, to my knowledge, that you really, in the main story at least, get to play as this dude. And I'm like,
right.
They just put that there for one sequence. I mean, it was super effective, right? Like I walked away. I was like, that was an incredible opening, especially as a Crisis Core fan. You roaming Nibelheim, like it's like, yeah, this is speaking to all of my love for this series. But I'm like, you guys just made, and even to Zack, you play as him one more time after that. So that whole intro sequence exists with those playable characters, and it's super unique. Like you don't return to that until if you do everything in the game, like maybe 100 hours later with Zack. Like that's really impressive that they were, especially I would say a more desperate Square Enix, maybe, where they've had these flops and they need to be safe in certain areas. Like they've been extremely bold with what they've, I think, done investment wise with this entire series so far. So yeah, to me, just playing as Sephiroth and then not playing as him ever again, I was like, unless I'm missing side content, I was blown away by just that merit alone. Like that's extremely uncommon in game development. So I really appreciate the extra effort they went to make that intro feel special.
Mm-hmm. Getting to see Richard Zangan, that's Tifa's teacher, her martial arts teacher. Getting to see a lot more of him, I really appreciate it. You meet him at the end. So just really nice fleshing out the town a lot more, getting to see the mayor a lot more and all that kind of stuff. Of course,
all those sandwiches, all the sandwiches that you eat, yeah.
Getting to see Cloud's mom, Claudia. Love seeing all that stuff. So I really enjoyed Nibelheim. Gene, what did you think about Nibelheim?
To jump off what Maddie said about playing as Sephiroth, I initially didn't like the choice to make us play as Sephiroth right at the beginning. I liked the original choice in the original game where you don't play as Sephiroth and you just watch as Cloud and Sephiroth just one-shots that dragon. I thought about it and then now I like their choice better now. I wish it was still a dragon, so I'm not sure why.
I wish it was a dragon too.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they decided to change it to like two big toads or whatever. But I think the whole point is to showcase Sephiroth's power, like the power scaling, right? And then so to watch Sephiroth just one shot a guy, it was really impressive back in the day. To do that here wouldn't be as impressive. So I think they weighed that choice. It would probably be a lot cooler, and it would probably be a better expression of Sephiroth's power if we just let the player control him and check out these sick combos, and it's just a one-time thing, kind of like General Leo in Final Fantasy VI. That was kind of the sense I got from it. Totally. That said, I can't wait for the PC version to mod Zack and Sephiroth.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the party is just gonna be Cloud, Zack, and Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the edgy boys,
Oh yeah, all the soldier boys, definitely.
Yeah.
Dustin, what did you think of the flashback, man?
I have 3 thoughts
Okay.
that you guys haven't already touched on. First of all, shout out Tifa in the cowgirl outfit, just because I think it's hilarious. Legitimately, it feels like something that made more sense in the kind of low poly PS1 version, but then they kept it that they're just like, yeah, she's gonna be the tour guide up this mountain. She's wearing this cowgirl outfit. That is, I just think really funny. The second thing, so I think overall this intro is really great, from a thematic aspect, and the Sephiroth stuff, super cool. I will say that it gave me a little bit of concern when I first played it, because it has that section where you have to get the Mako vacuum and sweep up the stuff. I was like, oh no, is this going to be a reoccurring thing where there's these weird bloat sections in this game? Which I would say, while there are a few things like that throughout the game, it wasn't near. I feel like it's kind of concentrated in that intro part, and I was like, man, I hope that doesn't happen more. But
it's like the intro at the end where you get these bullshit like sequences or whatever. Yeah.
It's like, what? I was thinking about it from like a design perspective. I'm like, what is the point of this vacuuming up Mako part, other than it just is a annoying, not fun barrier between point A and point B to kind of pad out time? What is it? What is it for?
Yeah.
And it's not necessary in a game this long to pad out anything. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit nitpicky, but in the beginning, I was like a little concerned.
I think that part left a bad first impression for a lot of people, because I remember when Rebirth came out, people were like, "Oh, look at this fucking like PS5 game," and they realized, "Oh, that was the only part that had that part." Okay, good.
The other thing I wanted to mention. And maybe I was trying to look it up, so hopefully I didn't miss you saying it. But Brad, you mentioned about how you see, Zack / Cloud at the beginning. He's doing the squats and stuff here. And for those who know, I think pretty much, even if you didn't play the original at this point, I bet you a lot of people have. It would be amazing if you haven't had that spoiled for you, but people didn't know that Aerith died in the originals, and we got shit for that. So anything's on the table. But I noticed too. And maybe I was trying to verify at the end when Cloud is going towards his mom's house, and there's those little, the text on the side of what people are saying, and it says security officer, and it has Cloud saying Sephiroth. And I'm like, okay, well, it's so obvious now that if you didn't know, like, surely that gives it away at that point. It's a nice touch, but
it's a little thing that probably a lot of people would kind of just miss. But if you see it, you're like, oh, that's weird. But for us, who obviously know the twist, it's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I like seeing that. And of course, good.
I was just going to say the other thing, too, is the iconic Sephiroth moment where he's turns around and walks into the flames. Seeing that, PS5 quality was amazing. Because that's before I even played the original Final Fantasy VII, that was like a scene that I knew about and I had seen. And so I was just thinking, like, man, I remember many, many years ago seeing this, and it's at the time awesome pre-rendered graphics, and now seeing it to this quality. And I mean, that's kind of the story of these remake games, is just seeing these iconic moments remade in today's, tech or whatever you want to say. And that was a good one. That was an awesome one.
Yeah, you also get to see like just how brutal he is, where he I forgot who he stabbed, but you actually see it happen. And I don't think
he kills the mayor. He cuts off the mayor's head.
Yeah,
you see that, and he kills a bunch of village people. You see,
and
this one guy picks Cloud up to help him, and Sephiroth stabs that guy.
Oh
yeah.
Like you just see a more terrifying depiction of him. Like you already, if you're familiar with 7. I think the game approaches it like, this dude's a madman, but like you've never seen him this evil before. Like you've never seen blood and like him taking heads off and like just massacring a whole town like that. I think that added a little something to him. And it's funny because you go so long in this game without ever really physically encountering Sephiroth. When you look at it, it's always like visions in Cloud's head. Like he's always imagining it. But when you talk about like a physical presence, like he's there and you're there, it's really like that. And then the final couple of chapters of the game, so there's this huge gap there. Again, That's why I love the intro, because I think it left a lasting impact. Sorry, with just how like brutal and threatening he is, that just drives them into this whole quest in the first place.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, it was a good. Love the flashback. Good stuff. Let's see. Chapter 2, we finally get to roam around a little bit. You know, everyone's in calm. Everyone's kind of go out and doing their own thing. You learn about some of the systems, the party system, all that good stuff. First of all, calm, very cozy town. Absolutely adored it, man.
Couldn't
Felt
believe it.
So nice.
Oh my goodness.
What a great first like town you go to, man. Unbelievable. People everywhere. Of course, Queen's Blood people, learning all that stuff. Fucking loved all that shit. So good. Queen's Blood, amazing game, dude.
Yeah.
Love the whole quest line.
Yeah.
We can talk about that later, but so good. Let's see. You meet Broden, who is like the kind of the innkeeper or whatever, the guy that runs the inn, and he's like sick. Later on, we find out that he was a soldier, I believe. So that's why he was sick a lot. He's degrading. And I think, I'm trying to remember if he becomes a black robe guy at a point, but he was essentially an old soldier who's getting fucked up now. But when you go out in the world, great to explore the grasslands. Really good first impression of an open world. A very nice contrast to Remake, you know, being very claustrophobic, but now you get to fully explore this area, getting on chocobos, all that good stuff, side quests. We had every region kind of has its own side quests that you go to, like their quest line, I would say. There was this one had the Bex Badasses, the bandit guys that were in the underground tunnel in the Remake. And to see these guys trying to be like mercenaries, like going through their whole quest line and all that stuff. Then eventually you meet Kyrie out here and she's trying to be a mercenary also. And of course, the Chocobo Ranch dude, Chocobo Bill's there. Meet Chocobo Billy and his sister. I forgot her. Chloe, that's her name. And you kind of learn, you get hints about his parents died and all that stuff. And you find out more about that down the line with Chocobo Sam, which I'm really happy they tied in and all that stuff. So yeah, pretty good first area. Of course, they introduce all the side quest stuff, you know, the surveys, the battle rolls, the materia spots you scan. And of course, everyone's favorite boy, Chadley, chatting your ear off, all that good stuff. Grasslands, talk to me, fellas. What'd you think?
I have a thought about some of the story stuff. Is that what I really liked is that I talked to earlier about this game having a lot of a wide range of emotions to it. And it kind of starts on a little bit of a dark point, a little conflict with Cloud and Tifa. There's the whole thing where Sephiroth is fucking with him, saying she's not real. And honestly, at that moment, being this early into this game, and we just got a Zack sequence, I'm like, oh shit, are they fucking around with Tifa? What are they doing? Is she? Right. What kind of twist would that be if she's some kind of Genova, copy, something like that? Like anything's possible this early on in the game. And so yeah, it was. I liked seeing some conflict between these two characters, especially because in Rebirth, for the most part, unless I'm misremembering anything, it's kind of, I don't want to say all happy, but between the two of them specifically, it's just kind of their rediscovering the little friendship they had, kind of kindling what seems like could be a future romantic relationship, which Cloud seems to be good at that with multiple women throughout this throughout this series. Which also, by the way, I think I can't remember who else we had the same type of thing happen, where in this section, Aerith wants to go on a date with you to go to the tower. And I was conflicted because I was like, I don't want to miss anything, but am I having a choice to go on a date between Aerith and Tifa?
Oh, so you can reject Aerith there and go hang out with Tifa?
No, you can't.
You can just.
I was worried though that was the case.
Yeah. I was trying to gun for Tifa. I ended up with Barret, but so I fucking missed wide.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I was a little uncomfortable. I'm like, Aerith, you're a nice girl. Don't. And I'm willing to hang out with you at this tower thing, but don't go around holding my hand. I got eyes for someone else, and
Yeah.
And you're kind of, I don't want to give you the wrong impression.
At all. Don't worry, she's not a problem anymore.
Did you see what? Did you see the mini discourse about how Aerith is not is not allowing Cloud to give consent on the date? They're like
what?
Like Cloud is not consenting. Why is Aerith just grabbing his hand and just pulling him into the clock tower? Like, I'm serious that like there was a whole mini discourse about whether being able to grab a guy's hand and drag him into a place that he doesn't want to go to.
Twitter.com.
Whatever. Twitter.com.
He needs consent.
Yeah.
So,
Dustin, I'm really glad you brought up Tifa and Cloud's relationship with her. Of course, Cloud gets a much more deep relationship, I would say, with everybody. But they really focus down on Tifa, and the whole game, Sephiroth kind of manipulating Cloud into saying Tifa is not good, not real, all that kind of stuff, which is super important, which is going to be in part 3 with Cloud, his whole like mental thing going on, figuring out all that stuff. So it would make sense. And I really liked it that Sephiroth would not want Tifa around. He wants Cloud to doubt her because she's like one of the big reasons he gets back into shape. So I really like that. I mean, he tries to kill her later on in the live stream.
Right, yeah, so. I really bit on that just because at that point in the game, when you go off the ending of Remake and you look at intermission, you just look at like, oh, we're making this Final Fantasy VII multiverse and I'm all about this. Like, so anything could change. And right when they started teasing, even in the trailers, like that, I was kind of receiving it as like, oh, Tifa's going to be the one who dies at the end of this. Like, I think the big question for me was like, okay, someone's dying at the end of this game. Who's it going to be? And when they started kind of suggesting that Tifa's just never been there the whole time and like Cloud's just imagining that, I really bit on that. I thought, you know what? I could see this game just going left like that. It did not, at least, not yet. But, it was definitely a good narrative hook early on for me to kind of just have those questions about the party. Yeah. And I think that the game's strength, really the series' strength, is its character interactions and how personal they are. Like, they just get it. Like, it's extremely well written. Just the banter back and forth is, of course, really good. But just in those quiet moments where they're talking to each other, it feels like nothing's really being held back. Like, there's an understanding of these characters on an intimate level. And so when you have that uncertainty surrounding these characters, it's only elevated. Like, it only just feels that much more like you're invested in what's happening on screen. So yeah, I really liked what they were doing with Tifa this whole game. It felt like she was more prominent than I had originally expected.
Mm-hmm. Maddie, someone about a week before Rebirth came out, someone left a comment, I think on a Sacred episode, that said Tifa dies in Rebirth.
Oh no.
Or something like Tifa dies instead of Aerith or something. And this was a week before it came out. And I thought, oh, this is one of those fuckers that got an early copy, fell off the back of a truck or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, there's no way they finished it in that amount of time for them to say that or something. Literally the entire game, I'm thinking, what if Tifa dies? What if they do what you're saying? If they do a switcheroo here, and then there's this beginning part with about Sephiroth saying Tifa's not real. I'm like, oh no,
yeah.
Oh, no.
Right away, you're like, this son of a bitch.
They're playing with your emotions. They're playing with your emotions,
dude. I think Sephiroth wrote that comment for me on that video to fuck with. It was like another meta level.
The whispers have arrived at LSM.
That's right.
Yeah, Gene's right. The whole game, they're fucking with your emotions, your expectations. They kind of like teasing you even through Remake about Aerith dying and like kind of planting the seeds of maybe being able to save her and stuff, and maybe planting the seeds that maybe Tifa will die. Of course, things kind of work out how they did almost in the end, but I really appreciate that. A nice element of surprise. Man, Dustin, I would have been so mad if I got that comment, dude. Fuck. That would suck.
Yeah.
It was one of those ones that was just early enough that I thought surely they can't know. But you get that little, it was in the back of my mind the whole game. So thanks, whoever wrote that. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, then we move on to chapter 3, which is the Mythril Lines.
Can I talk about the...
Yes, please do.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the gameplay of World 1, the Grasslands. It's what Maddie always calls the step out moment. So when Maddie says this is one of the best intros to a game, I'm actually thinking about the step out moment in the Grasslands where
that too.
You actually just look at the grass and you just I remember when I played this game and I just took a big deep breath, like like I just stepped outside for real, because it's incredible. This is the moment I've been waiting. This was the moment I was waiting for the entire Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Mhm.
I was disappointed that it was only in Midgar because I was waiting for the big moment when you step out of Midgar and you see the whole world, and that was huge back in '97. And to see it realized today, it like with this amount of activity, with that amount of hills and grass, and just the interactivity and having the entire party just follow you behind
Running
you,
around, yeah.
and you just swoop the camera around and you just see all 6 characters just standing there looking cool. And you're just walking along, and the open world, the overworld music is playing. It's just pure magic. Like for me, this was just I knew from minute 1 of chapter 2 that they nailed it. So I just want to give a shout out to
pure magic.
Just how the gameplay was just perfect, and it introduces all the side quests. So you really understand the entire gameplay loop. Just from the first chapter alone, it's incredible.
Totally, dude. Yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, quick shout out Midgar Summer fight. Love the snake fighting him in the swamp area. You actually fight him this time early on. He gets killed later by Sephiroth during the fight, but I loved it. He went around the tree. He was shooting fire out. Super cool fight, man.
Super dope.
Loved it.
Also, we realize that Midgar Zolom was a mistranslation in the original game.
Yes,
but the boss was called Midgar Zolom. And then you realize, they were actually trying to do a romanization of Midgar Stormer, but that's just how the localization got it. They just did it literally. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Then the crew heads into the Mythril Mines. Here we meet Elena for the first time. Love Elena, the Turk, and also Rude was there with her. Reno's absent at this time. Really love the fight with Elena and Rude teaming up. I love the Turks. Turks are so fucking cool. So I was very pleased with all this. And it was cool because the party got split up at a couple points. I like that when they do this in this game. They had Red 13 and Barret going off to their own thing. Then Cloud, Red, and Aerith going off on thing. Great shit. What do you guys think?
Everyone got lost at this part.
People got lost?
People got super lost. People are stuck here for like an hour,
What?
This was the thing where there was all the discourse about the yellow rocks and stuff. And then there's one weird part in this game with Barret that doesn't have yellow on where you can climb, and no one knew where to go.
I did get lost when I was reviewing the game. Holy shit, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All you people complaining about yellow lines, you're the problem. People are getting lost, all right? Leave them be.
I actually didn't get lost at this part, but I can see how people
didn't
get lost. But I was able to make it pretty. I forgot almost everything about the mines because I just
it's not very long.
Yeah,
it was. It's interesting to hear, Brad, like your positivity on it, because to me this is such like a Square Enix ass moment, if you will. You know what I'm talking about? Like, so one thing that could be a positive or a negative depending on how you look at it, like with Rebirth and Remake, is they have these dungeons that I don't mind dungeon length when you're doing something, but like Rebirth is especially guilty of just these extensive dungeon segments that I don't think need to be there. Dustin talked about padding earlier, and it kind of reminds me a bit of that, where like Mythril Mine, this did not need to be like an hour long in this one tunnel, and then you go to the Kate Sith dungeon throwing fucking boxes around. I'm like, why? It's part of the charm. You get away from the game, you're like, it's kind of why I like it. It's super gimmicky. It's just doing weird shit all the time. But in that moment, I'm like, guys, what are we doing? Like, let's just, let's get.
Let me tell you.
The only one conflicted on that.
No, I think a lot of people share that opinion. Let me tell you what I like about it, though, is I like dungeons where you kind of do something in there. I don't really like to necessarily just blow through a point where I'm just running forward the whole time.
Yeah.
Kind of like Final Fantasy 16 does this, and I didn't really like it, is when you go through a dungeon in that game, you're just fucking running forward pretty much the whole time, and you kill a few guys, make a few turns, but you're actually like kind of doing something. There's some sort of verticality to it. You feel like you're exploring this environment more, which I do like. And the original game did do that kind of stuff in there, but I could totally see people not enjoying that. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Dustin,
I don't know if I have anything.
The Turks, though.
Oh, the Turks, dude. Elena, she's so cool.
Yep.
You
seen her gun? Have you seen her little gun? It was like pink or something like that.
Yeah, she has like this little pink gun.
Yeah.
It's I was excited to see them. I feel bad because I feel like the only thing I have to really say about this section is a little,
okay.
again, a little nitpick. Everyone loves it when we have little nitpicks. I think it's kind of interesting that Barret's the super pro save the planet guy, and then he's in a cave with a bunch of beautiful natural crystal formations, and he just shoots the shit out of them, and he's just like just this no disregard. I don't know. I was like,
he cares about like the Mako. He doesn't give a fuck about some rocks.
Sure.
That's not living really kind of thing. You know, he was a miner before.
Oh, that is true. Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
He's beat the shit out of rocks all the time.
Yeah, dude. He's shooting them now. He's not hitting them anymore. Yeah. He's changed.
That's really funny.
Yeah, totally. I get it. Okay, then the crew makes it to the Junon region. Very different from the Grasslands. You know, you get the black chocobo now. You can climb up the walls, which I thought was really fun. I loved every time a new region you get to, and I'm like, what's my chocobo gonna do? This one. I loved all that kind of stuff. You get to go around here, you get to explore some of the outset towns. You know, Junon, they really emphasize Junon getting taken over by Shinra and all that stuff, kind of like the wars they had in the past. You get to see Under Junon. Under Junon was so rad. I loved all the little houses and shops and the inns. So damn good.
I couldn't believe it, bro. A whole town under Junon? Are you fucking kidding me? They made that?
Yeah.
The fuck, dude?
Yeah, it's just like mind-blowing stuff, dude. Of course, the big side quest here was the Fort Condor things tying into the proto with Gilgamesh, dude. Love that Gilgamesh is in this game, dude. I'm so happy they put him in there. It makes, I don't know, kind of sense because he kind of travels between dimensions. And it's really sick at the end of his quest line. He talks about the 4 warriors of light. So everyone's like, oh yeah, Final Fantasy V and stuff like that. All that good shit tying in there. And emphasizing, you know, the multiverse kind of thing. So I loved all that kind of stuff. Did you guys like Fort Condor? I love Fort Condor, but it's not everyone's cup of tea.
I love it. I just kind of wish that it was more like what it used to be in
fleshed out,
where you can just buy the
pieces,
the pieces, and you can make your own team. So it was interesting. I was a little confused that you can't just like make your own team or pick different teams. You're just stuck with the 3 teams.
Yeah,
that's it. So that made it a little harder, especially with the time limit, right? So.
Yeah, it definitely did. It was cool getting to use like Tifa and Cloud and Barret, but yeah, I did miss like getting the pieces actually.
Oh yeah, the story was super cute though. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was cool. Yeah. I loved it.
I love the art style for that mini game too. Just like the callback there. It's so smart. It also just speaks to, again, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I just find it so impressive. I'm like, I know they made it for intermission, but like adding those deployable hero characters in Rebirth, I think like added this more controllable element in kind of a field that was, you know, when you made your call like who was going to go out when, but this kind of added that extra layer that I think made it more fun to engage with. They built a whole quest line around it, and you got like, oh, you have like a stealth game, or you're going to get a chocobo. Like this section, I think about what we're going to talk about next with Junon more, but when it comes to Junon as a whole, like I think of the open world sector where I'm like, wow, they just packed this game with so many different activities. It's why like I get it, like the format and the design is very reminiscent of Ubisoft, but I feel like people who brush it off to the side going like, oh, it's like a Ubisoft game. I'm like, what Ubisoft game has this many different things to do? It's unbelievable.
You're not clearing bandit camps and stuff like that.
Yeah, like you're doing meaningful, different stuff every step of the way. Like they don't just let you get a chocobo. Like you have to stealth through it. It's almost like a puzzle sequence. And again, that's where I think some people get.
There's a Fall Guys mini game here where you have to jump over the thing. Right?
The frog mini game, dude. I love that.
There's some frog mini games in Far Cry. You know,
I'm curious if Dustin agrees. Doesn't it remind me a lot of how I felt about Kingdom Hearts 2, from like the combat to just like how many different things there were to do? Like I kept thinking back to that game while I was playing it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's what I think I told this to Colin and Chris once, and they immediately threw up in their mouth, where I was like, the combat is not too far off from Kingdom Hearts in terms of like slightly using a mix of action combat with a menu where you use to cast different spells and abilities and stuff.
No, you're right, Dustin. You're correct. Yeah, you're actually correct.
Yeah.
Not too far off. There's
a direct line. Like there wouldn't be no Final Fantasy VII Remake without Kingdom Hearts, you know?
Dude.
Yeah.
that needs to be on a plaque or something that we can send to Colin or something. The things that stuck out to me about this section, first of all, this is where you mentioned the frog side quest in the game there. That was the affirming point where I thought, man, I got to try to play as many side quests as possible if they are going to be this weird and off the wall, which was pretty cool. There's also the side quest where you have to escort the dog to the crow's nest.
Yeah, salmon, dude.
Yeah, that's a great side quest.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
And
the greatest escort quest in RPG ever somehow.
It is.
Fuck.
And then the last thing I wanted to bring up is just how this is where they introduce Yuffie into the game.
Yep.
And it was kind of, I think that this makes much more sense than the original, actually. In fact, it's kind of, they're kind of had to make some decisions just because, I mean, Yuffie is a completely optional character, right?
Yes.
In the original. Yes. So it makes sense to introduce her in a way that makes more sense to this story. So yeah, I will say overall, because when we were talking about remake and specifically Intergrade, I'm not a Yuffie fan, guys. I was hoping that maybe I was hoping that maybe being around her more that she would become less grating to me, but I think I just found her pretty much annoying the entire game. She's like singing stupid songs.
Oh,
come on,
Dustin.
I think she's hilarious.
So
doing I'm just like, I don't really know what you have to add.
So misogynistic.
And there's the part
3.
Misogyny.
A few chapters later, there's the part where Cloud's just like, she's like, "Do you want to fight?" And Cloud's like, "No," and then keeps walking. You know, I was like, "Good, finally, someone tell this girl shut the fuck up." So
see, Brad, is this level of misogyny that Reset Era was talking about, Brad?
This is what
we're talking about.
That's true.
Now it really comes out, you know.
Yeah,
dude, her intro when she joins the party, that was an authentic laugh out loud moment for me when she jumps out of the tree when you're in Costa del Sol and she's like, she says something wild and Cloud just goes, "Cool," and just walks away.
That's it. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay, that is such an awesome moment to me. Like, I love how he just doesn't give a single fuck about her. Like, his energy, I love. He's such a great protagonist straight up because of that. Like, he'll just do that shit all game where he just doesn't care. And that's why I really liked her in the party. I feel like her problem is she doesn't evolve beyond the materia obsession. Like, she's still like all game. Like, they see, we'll get into it. I think it's like chapter 8 or 9. Like, you see the Mako reactor. She's like, "Ooh, you mean there's a lot of materia down there?" I'm like, "Yo, girl, there's a ton of people just fucking died here. Like, let's stay on task, will we?"
She wants the giant 3-ton materia. It's like, what are you even gonna do with that? You can't even fucking move it. And she's obsessed with this giant materia. I'm like, dude, redeeming aspect of Yuffie, gameplay, fire.
Oh yeah,
super fun to play as. Yeah, so I we'll keep her around for that.
She gets a few moments of growth when they're talking about Shinra being at war with Wutai at a part, and she's like pumped up, and Tifa's like, "War's bad," or Eris says like, "No matter who's involved," and her kind of thinking about that stuff, especially when she sees Wutai soldiers dead later on. But her story is going to be in all in part 3.
Yeah,
when we actually go to Wutai and all that stuff. Sure. So they'll flesh her out more there.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's see. We get a nice little scene at the hotel too at night with them, everyone kind of in their own separate rooms. This, like, I think maybe the first time you hear Red's actual voice when he's talking to Aerith. He like looks in the room and it's just Red 13, and he like walks out. You get to talk to everyone, which is nice. And Cloud and Tifa kind of make a little ground together, but Cloud's still pretty hopeless in the whole situation. He's a fucking idiot, dude. Everyone who's playing this game is just like, "Cloud, you fucking idiot," the whole time.
Just throwing the whole game, bro.
Dude, I don't know what, these ladies cannot stay away from this man, and he has like no charisma and also max charisma stats somehow at the same time. I don't understand.
He's Rizless, dude.
He's just, but he's not. Also, Riz. He has 0 Riz, but he also has the most because he doesn't have to do anything. He can do everything possibly wrong and still pull all the girls. It's crazy.
I knew a guy like that. Fucking hated him. You ever knew a guy who has like no riz and like has no charisma whatsoever, but like all the girls still like them? It's fucking bullshit, dude.
Yeah,
I fucking hate it. He's actually dead, which is good. So
Wow.
not so good looking now, are you?
Jeez. Oh my god, that was insane. Holy shit.
Wow, we're making the everything Reset Era has said is true. I mean, no, zero respect for women,
true.
the dead.
I'm honored to be a part of it.
That's true. Speaking of the dead, we see Rufus, of course, in Junon, but he gets a visitor from Wutai, an emissary. It's Glenn from Ever Crisis.
Glenn Lodbrok. If you actually look up the Google Trends search trends for specifically Glenn Lodbrok, definitely starts happening after like day 2 of like Rebirth like being released, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck is Glenn Lodbrok?"
Yeah,
Bro, I literally thought I was forgetting something from the base game. I had to look him up. I bet you, Gene, you were in the same position. Maybe I was like reviewing the game, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Who's?" I typed in Glenn Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, "I have to spoil something for myself," and I was like, "Oh, he's from the mobile game."
Yeah.
That's what I literally. I thought of Dustin right there because I was like, Nomura. You know,
That's that Nomura stink right there, dude. He's putting in the mobile game. He can't fucking resist. He's like, oh, gotta make everything canon.
Gotta make everything count.
Do you guys see theories that Glenn Lodbrok might be Cloud's father?
Yes, actually, I have.
I did not see that.
Yeah. That's a terrible thought.
Age-wise, it could line up, I guess. I don't know.
It's a terrible thought.
Weird.
Who gives a shit who
you
Cloud's
don't need to know Cloud's dad.
Yeah, no one gives a shit who Cloud's dad is. You know, his mom's name is Claudia. That's enough. That's all we need to know.
Hot.
You know, and she's hot. Like
he
him.
seems pretty important. You know, like long term. You see him at the real final scene of the game. So yeah, that was the thing I was a little worried about when I first saw him, and then you don't see him for like 5 chapters. I thought, okay, like Nomura might be dabbling here, but not heavily. And then he comes back, and then he comes back in a big way at the end of. Okay, so. Might have to brush up a little bit on his lore for Ever Crisis.
So I watched all of Ever Crisis, like the whole thing that they have so far, and you don't really need to know. Yeah, and you don't need to know any of that stuff really when you're going into this kind of stuff. Like, you'll have more context. They bring up the other. They bring up his squad mates, Lucia and Matt, later on.
Okay, so break it down. Who is Glenn Lodbrok? Do you know?
He was a former Shinra soldier.
Yeah,
and Matt and Lucia, they say their name once in the game. When you get the Wedge side quest, when you find out like fucking Wedge just died when he fell out of the Shinra tower, just splat on the floor like a pancake. Dude, that was rough. Yeah, I was like, oh my god.
Why does Wedge get the most graphic death in this entire series?
He's like, it's brutal,
fucking
dude.
Out of nowhere in a side quest hidden in fucking like the Corel region.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, we finally get confirmation of what happened to Wedge. Oh, he just fucking gets like exploded.
Yeah,
you know?
He just fucking hits the ground and blows up. But I guess Matt and Lucia are like high ranking, if not in charge of Avalanche proper. So they have also turned against Shinra for some reason. I'm not sure why. But anyways, Ever Crisis is kind of neat because you get to see Sephiroth when he's younger.
Yeah,
when he's like 16. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, this guy, we get with Glenn, we learned that Rufus at some point shot him in the back and we thought he was dead. But then we kind of learned later on that Sephiroth is manipulating all of this. Sephiroth is the one in control, and it's really just another guy in the black robe guys, just disguised as Glenn. Because he was doing like that fucking like, he was warping in out of like Organization 13 members that have like their little teleporter shit. He was doing the same thing.
That's what I was thinking of the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if he'll be back in part 3, like actually him or something. I'm really curious what they'll do with him or tying in, because he's like stirring the fires of war with Wutai and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting. They talked about kind of how him and Wutai had an agreement with the previous president of Shinra to get like this like super materia. I forgot what they called it exactly, but they had an agreement with the Viceroy to start some kind of conflict for the Magnus materia, and we don't learn a whole lot about that. So I imagine that'll come into part 3 more so.
Do you know who the identity of the Viceroy is?
They said his name, but they don't show him. It's Viceroy Saruf or something.
Yeah. Okay. So it's actually Rufus.
Oh, okay. I can't remember.
So
Yeah,
Saruf is an anagram for Rufus.
Yeah, that sounds very
Rufus is the
familiar.
one engineering this like shadow war between Wutai and Shinra.
And Shinra, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember why, but yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I totally forgot
Yeah.
about all that stuff. Good.
Yeah, I forgot all about it too. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot
dude.
that Rufus is actually like part founder of Avalanche. Actually, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, because you kind of see that because when they get to the parade and stuff, and they win the parade. We'll talk about that all, but like he wants their help. He doesn't really care about what they did. It's only until Yuffie tries to kill him.
Fucks it up.
He gets pissed. Yeah, they're like fuck. Everyone's pissed off. Yeah, it's great. But anyways, yeah, you do the whole dolphin minigame. Cloud launches up, gets up there, get the Junon proper. Loved it. Got to go with Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa all dressed up as soldiers. Very cute, all that stuff. They were very pumped up to dress up, playing along. And I love that they just get Cloud somehow becomes like the lieutenant or something of that whole squad because he did good at the.
Love him.
They promote him. Yeah.
Will he see you again, sir?
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
they're
God.
like sad.
Yeah, I see a
my
lot
God,
of people hoping that they end up becoming the crew for the Highwind.
I did see that. And I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I hope that
I was
actually
like, yeah,
happens.
please,
That would make
please,
sense, I
please,
guess.
Bring these boys back for sure. I
Yeah.
fucking missed them. I felt so sad. Did you guys look up at the elevator when you're going down the elevator?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all saluting you, and you're just like,
Yeah,
man,
it's so-
I don't
it's
want
so
to
good.
leave these guys. It sucks.
Yeah. So you spend time recruiting. An optional thing, you can recruit all of them throughout Junon. I really liked going through all the little shops. All the soldiers are kind of one of these guys like trying to buy a model kit or something like that. One's trying to buy a gift for his girlfriend. And you're just like slowly recruiting all these people. And I loved all that kind of stuff. And of course, the parade. So good, man.
Brad,
Yeah.
you forgot the Bald Club.
The Bald
Rube's in.
Club.
Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Dustin, I love the Bald Club. They go downstairs and get them. It's just all bald everybody. And Rube's just chilling down there. They like take off your helmet. It's very
Yeah.
insane. But that was a great humor part you're talking about, Dustin, how there's some real funny, goofy moments. And how can you get more goofy than a Bald Club in Final Fantasy VII? That's good shit.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Minigame, of course, parade minigame, loved it. Did you guys win when you did it?
Sure did.
Did you get the approval? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I think I got like 90,000 or something like that. I didn't do super well on it. I muffed up on a couple of QTEs for that.
I remember
Because
I had like one bad. Yeah.
Yeah, they had like certain areas where I just wasn't expecting it to appear during the
Yeah.
QTE, so I
Yeah, they
whiffed on
throw
a
you
bunch.
off. Oh, I forgot to bring this up. When you're under Junon before you're about to go up, Roche shows up. Roche is back, wanting to fight Cloud again. He's like,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
wait for you up at the top, kind of thing like that. So
He's the ambiguously gay biker guy, right?
yes, yeah.
Okay,
He
yeah.
has a
Super
big
horny
crush
for
on Cloud.
Yeah.
He's very horny
everyone
for
is.
Cloud.
Yes. So
Yeah, dude.
part of
The
group.
Riz goes beyond the ladies in this situation.
Of
He's
course, it really does.
he's down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that guy. Yeah. Roche is Omega down, dude. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
so down with
I think
Cloud.
it's between like Jesse and Roche, who's like hornier for Cloud.
Yeah,
and
that's
Roche
true.
is arguably more.
Yeah. But yeah, this is like, Yuffie wants to assassinate Rufus with you and everything like that. Everyone kind of agrees, but then once he talks to you, everyone's like, oh shit, okay, maybe we can he just wants us to stop Sephiroth kind of thing. So they're very relieved, but Yuffie fucks it all up. So
Yep.
then everyone's got to escape. Of course, love the 7th Infantry backing you up through the whole
Mhm.
thing. They're so great. Then you fight Roche, of course, in like that crazy Mad Max dome where he's like going around on his motorcycle. Really
Yeah.
fun. And when you beat him, he like lets you go. He's like, the victory, the champion, all that good shit. Loved it.
Mhm.
Then ends at the boat. Everyone gets on the boat. We're heading to Costa del Sol.
Yes.
So yeah, Junon, super great to see it. Love Junon. Of course, the big cannon, getting that cutscene where they fire it off. So good. I can't wait to see
Hamaguchi.
that thing in part 3.
Hamaguchi, the director, said that Junon was his favorite part, and you can tell. Like,
Oh
because-
yeah,
because
Junon
when I got
was
to
so
Junon,
good.
when I got to Junon, that's when I knew this game was like not fucking around. I was like, oh, this game is gonna be huge as fuck,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
they're not fucking around with Junon. And yeah, I can tell like, oh, he loved this part. Like, and it's great because whenever I think about Final Fantasy VII, outside of Midgar, I think of Junon as like the second like most iconic.
Yeah.
spot.
Oh yeah.
So,
Huge iconic part. And when everyone gets on the boat and it leaves, you see Kyrie miss the boat, so she gets pissed. I'm like, haha,
fuck Kyrie.
Fuck. Yeah,
Fuck
is she your Yuffie?
Yeah, she's my Yuffie. I hate her.
Yeah.
So.
Do you like Kyrie, Dustin?
That's the
she has
the
like
girl
the
that claims to be a merc, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, she's the worst. And dude, okay, she's the worst, but I do find it really funny that she has that like theme song that she has that plays.
That is a good theme song though.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, she sucks.
She's a character from the books, you know. She's Nomura, or at least like
no, that's Nojima
or whatever, or Nojima. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's more Nojima than anything.
Yeah, the trinity of annoying. It's like her, Yuffie, and then Chadley. They like represent this trinity, you know.
The Triforce.
I told Brad when I was playing Chadley, this is the thing. He got one hoe, and now he thinks he can act out and call you every 5 seconds. Like, bro, calm down. Interrupts her all the time. Gene, he's the sexist character of this. Okay,
That's true.
With
Chadley. Yeah, dude, he's always interrupting her and stuff.
Well, he
builds a woman. Just tell her to shut up. That's amazing.
He
builds a woman for his.
Like
that is like next level, like haterade right there. You know?
I built a woman to discriminate against.
Yeah, so good, dude. And then
that's
the next
Chadley's
chapter.
The best.
Yeah, Chadley. I love Chadley, but yeah, he talks a fuck ton. Stand down, Chadley. I love you, but you gotta quiet down.
It is crazy that the entire game's like video game structure is centered around Chadley. Like Chadley is like the foundation of like every activity in the game. It is wild they decided to tie everything to this robot and not like, oh, Aerith is like discovering the planet and she's like getting to know the planet better. Like, no, we're doing all this shit to help Chadley get to know the planet.
We're getting data,
better.
son. Yeah,
we're
getting
getting
benefits.
Yeah.
He's the Jiminy Cricket of Final Fantasy.
He is.
Right? Brad?
He absolutely is. Yeah, he is the Jimmy.
He's absolutely going to be on the Highwind too. He's going to be like a permanent fixture on the Highwind.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be fun.
Dude, he's going to be there in the final fight with Sephiroth with you down in the crater.
Yeah, just ready to hand you a couple upgrades before you go.
All that data, yeah, for sure. Dude.
He's going to get all that data, dude. Be pretty sick if Chadley died though. That'd be awesome. Or if he like,
yes.
Someone said to me like Chadley getting the final blow on Hojo or something like that, and I thought that'd be amazing.
That would be sick.
That would be sick. You know, Hojo made him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some wild robot shit.
Just watch Chadley just strangle Hojo. You know,
strangle? That would be cool. I'd be into that.
Lies of Chadley, you know.
Lies of Chadley, dude.
Lies of C.
Then we're on the boat, you know, with the crew. We see Madam M here and Andre from Wall Market. They were on their way to Costa del Sol. And of course, we get the Queen's Blood tournament.
Yes.
Love a good anime tournament arc. Optional, of course, but of course, I'm sure we all did it, had to do it.
I skipped it.
You skipped? Oh, yeah, Gene, you mainlined everything the first time.
I skipped it. I mainlined everything. So Matty talked about how he got Barret for his date. I didn't even get Barret. I got Sid, Vincent, and Kate.
Dude, the boys.
Wow. I didn't even know that was possible.
Night out. That's not bad. That sounds better than.
No, it was actually super funny to get like the Goon Squad. You know.
Yeah. I got like a dad talk from Barret, like, you know, just explaining everything to me about life. It was super low impact for me. I was just like, fuck.
Yeah,
like, all I was thinking about is how bad I fucked up at that moment. Like, I guess I know Barret well because I just knew everything to say to him at any point in the game, but I was just sitting there thinking, what could have been.
Oh, man, you missed out, Matty.
Goes over hose, you know? What can you say?
You missed out.
Yeah, Barret will be there for life, though, so that's...
Yeah, Barrett's the boy, you know?
Yeah. Now, Brad, at the end of the Queen's Blood tournament, you get Red 13 in the...
I was going to bring that up, yeah.
Dude, the soldier outfit. He does like the weird like Michael Jackson move, and that kid starts crying.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, that was a great moment, dude. I love that. I didn't know if they were going to put that in the game.
The kid crying kind of saved it for me because I was like, oh man, a Michael Jackson reference in 2024, and when the kid started crying, I was like, okay, that's funny. That's great. Oh, sorry, Brad. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say I didn't know if they were gonna keep that in the game. It was in the original one, but he just kind of like walked around goofy. But I'm glad they like had him more involved. And the fact that he just wanted to take you on a Queen's Blood is so cool and random. But I was into it.
No, I have played Queen's Blood, and I made it all the way to the end of the cycle.
Oh, good. Hell yeah,
so
dude.
I can talk about Queen's Blood too.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. And of course, you fight Genova. All the monsters start invading the ship. Genova, love whenever you fight Genova, dude. I get so hyped about it. The music, of course.
Music, yeah.
10 out of 10. But yeah, the captain was going kind of nuts, like shooting all the black rogue guys with like a gun and shit. He was pretty.
He was
insane.
about to shoot Yuffie, dude.
Yeah, he was going pretty nuts. I wrote down something. Oh yeah, okay. So I think after the Queen's Blood, Sephiroth shows up and says, "They say she's a monster. That she can peer inside you into the very depths of your soul. That she can become those you hate, those you fear, those you love." And they call her Genova. And this is kind of something that gets brought up throughout the game a lot. Like we learn, Cloud says this to Tifa later on before he knocks her in the Mako.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of learn about this later in the Temple of the Ancients and all that stuff, Genova tying in and all that stuff. So it is interesting the kind of things they're showing here, they're telling you about that could tie in later on. And Sephiroth saying, Cloud, don't let her fool you. All really great shit. Loved all that stuff. Then it's the beach episode. Dustin, talk to me about the beach episode.
Beach episode. Well, okay. Of course, we got to talk about, Tifa in this situation. And I'm not just playing the bit here about me and Tifa, but it was pretty. The marketing was on point here. They knew exactly what they were doing, showing the beach stuff beforehand. But what is cool about this section is that I kind of expected all of the mini games to be at Gold Saucer, but then you kind of get a ton of different mini games here too. And even the little touch of like the segways you ride around on, which I love. It's so intentional. They have all of these like destructible objects that are clearly just designed for you to fuck up when you're driving around
so good, dude.
on the segways. So that was cool. I will say biggest disappointment, because Gene, I think this was a conversation you and I had maybe at least a year ago now, is that we were looking forward to Hojo shirtless in this.
He was never shirtless in the original either. He showed up in the lab coat. Yeah.
I thought in the lab coat. I have a scene in my mind of him like sunbathing from the original.
He was out on the beach and he was out on the chair, but he was wearing his whole lab coat. So in this one, he basically goes into like a veranda area, basically, and then all these hot chicks are basically fanning him and everything.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Dustin.
So we basically got what we got in the OG. I
think that was like an Inception. I think you implanted that memory of shirtless Hojo of the original into me, and because I expected it to.
I think you're just making shit up, Dustin.
Projection. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah, I think that's what you wanted. Yeah. So sorry this game disappointed you.
Yeah.
Getting to see Johnny again. Really loved it. I love Johnny. He's so good, dude. He's like in fucking big debt with the mayor because he bought that shitty hotel, dude. But he's so cool, dude. He like doesn't charge you any money for it. He just wants you to stay.
Did you do the full side quest chain for him?
Where you get all the materials for him, like the collectibles. I haven't done everything yet.
Oh, you unlock something really cool. I don't know if you want to unlock it or not.
No, you can say it's fun.
It's like a museum almost, like where all your collectibles go, and like you get to see it all. Like this hotel gets completely renovated.
I have that, but I didn't collect every single thing for the museum.
Oh, I haven't done that yet. No, sorry. I just meant unlocking like what the area becomes.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because I was confused at first when I was doing the side quest, because it's not like the usual Rebirth side quest where they, you just do them start to finish easily. Like it ties into like chapter 9 side content and knocking a lot of those out. And then eventually you fight, I'm forgetting the name of the dude with the little knife.
Tomberry. The Tomberry King.
Fight the King. The King Tomberry. And then after that, you get this major unlock that I thought was pretty worth it for all the effort you had to go through for it.
Dude, yeah, I love they made a bunch of Johnny Shadow clones. They were so good, dude. They were just like all doing off tasks, like different stuff. It's so good, man.
He has like a really emotional goodbye to them all.
Yeah,
he's just so in love with himself that he's like having this emotional goodbye. I thought it was great.
Bros, yeah, it's so good. I love the mini game too. Where you play as Red 13, the little soccer game. I thought that was really fun.
Like
play against a Chocobo.
Rocket League. That was awesome.
It's a little Rocket League, dude. It's Red 13, all that good stuff. Of course, the swimsuit spot. Getting to pick swimsuits. I love games where you get different outfits. I'm really happy they included that in this game. You can get different outfits for pretty much everyone. Barret, of course, had the sailor suit still that you could put on. I was really happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple bathing suits to pick from. Need more in the next game, though. Need more of that kind of stuff. And of course, Hojo shows up. He gets real fucking chaotic this time around, though. He brings in like some giant robot thing, and he's like having other freaks fuse with the black robe guys. Then people are getting kidnapped by him. Cloud uses the umbrella dude. Nice, like Crisis Core with Zack.
Crisis Core
Love
reference,
seeing all that stuff. Yeah, all that good
That was
shit.
an awesome reference. Yep.
Yeah, it's just like they just kind of let Hojo go. And it's like, all right, I guess that's fine. Whatever. Let's see. My Google Chrome keeps fucking up. Anyways, yeah. So you do all that stuff. Then you're done with Costa del Sol. Then you start heading towards Corel, Barret's hometown.
I love the open world of Corel too. Just the walk from Costa del Sol to Barret's hometown is just amazing.
It was really cool. Going uphill and everything like that.
Yeah, so fucking gorgeous, dude. Holy shit. Love this game.
Yeah, you go along the railroad tracks. Cloud starts freaking out. Oh, that's when Yuffie joins, right before you go to Corel, too. We talked about that scene, but that's when she joins. Cloud starts having a kind of like a mental episode. He's got to sit this one out. Then you play as Yuffie, Tifa, and Barret. You go through kind of like that whole construction area. That was really funny. You fight that bird. Then you meet Cloud Jr., baby. That little bird.
Did anyone catch the kind of Final Fantasy 13 reference in that when the bird flies into Barret's hair and pops out?
Oh, like Saz?
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting nod. Obviously, it was also like just Cloud Jr. in general, but I thought that was, at least I took it as a nod, which made me happy to see because I'm a defender of 13. So I was like, hell yeah, they know it still exists.
Yeah, totally. I liked the minecart kind of part too. You walk across the tracks with like Cloud and gang, but then you can choose which track you want the other crew to go onto. And if you take the rough one, Yuffie has like a really hard time. She gets motion sick from everything so easy. So I'm really happy they gave you just like small little choices like that. That's always really fun. And of course, you fight the Turks along the way. They have like some little robot guy. They drop off and you fight that. But then you get to Corel, man. Barret's hometown. Get there. Everyone fucking hates Barret.
Yeah.
Everyone hates that guy. Call him like a piece of shit, all this stuff. And
dump a drink on his head.
Yeah. And everyone's like, yo, what the fuck, Barret? Like, why is everyone treating you like shit? And he's like, leave it alone, guys. Kind of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to meet actually the doctor. I forgot his name, Shiran or something like that. He's the guy that saved Tifa when she got stabbed, actually, like all those years ago. So it's cool you get to find out about that. And he's the one that talks about, I think, to Cloud about soldier degradation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of plants the seeds in there. So that's all really good stuff. And just getting to see kind of Barret in this more vulnerable state, like even more closed off than usual, was really fun. Really great.
Right. It's especially cool just because Barret at this point is always, he like takes no shit from anybody. And then we finally get this moment where he is fully okay with taking all the shit from everybody because he has this enormous amount of guilt for this whole place, which, I mean, especially when you find out the whole context of the situation, it's like, man, the fact that he was even willing to go there at all based on how he feels about what happened is, crazy. So I really enjoyed seeing his backstory, and especially more that you see later on with like his, I can't remember his name, the other guy that gets his arm shut off. Yeah. His friend. And there's like the whole scene with is it his girlfriend or his wife?
It looked like his girlfriend or wife, one of them.
Yeah.
One of the two, gets killed. And like, because he's the one that he was like a big proponent of Shinra coming in and building a reactor because they thought it'd be helpful and help everyone and all that kind of stuff. And you get to see Scarlet there, which is really great.
We could talk about, do we want to just talk about Dine's, the whole Barret quest right now?
Yeah, sure. You can just talk about it.
Yeah.
It comes later, but we can get into it.
Yeah.
If you want. Go ahead.
I was really worried about it because, it's a really interesting and important emotional scene in the original, but I thought they did a really, really good job with it. The only thing is, I think the same problem that this game always has with every other emotional moment is that it's always punctuated with like a really long and like bombastic boss fight right afterwards. You know,
Sure, yeah. Palmer.
And like fighting Dine itself was actually cool. Like I actually didn't mind.
I did like
seeing
that.
Yeah, I didn't mind seeing
One-on-one.
Dine even go like kind of like semi Tetsuo with his robot arm. Like I thought that was pretty sick. You know, it was cool.
Yeah, totally.
It's a cool fight. It's a Palmer fight right afterwards that I felt like kind of ruined the mood a little bit. I'm just like, why is Palmer
Palmer's
here?
kind of goofy.
Yeah, he's super goofy. You know, like he's in a robot. Like I'm super down to fight Palmer at any given moment. But it was just a weird choice to put him here at that particular moment.
Yeah, I did like when he dies. You know, because he's like definitely losing his mind throughout this whole thing, and he finds out Marlene is still alive at least.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, Barrett's like, we can go see Marlene. And he's like, how do you think I could see my daughter with all this goddamn blood on my hands and stuff like that? I was like, yeah.
Dude, when Dine dies, he just leaves Barrett with all the guilt. He's like, no, this is your
he's like,
fault,
you
bitch.
carry
I'm
that
dead
weight
now.
or something. Yeah, he says something like the ones you're going to carry that weight for the rest of your life or something like that. And it's just like, god damn, dude.
Yeah, I would make an argument that was like the best written scene of the whole game. That whole stretch there. I really thought that was super powerful. You take this character, like Dustin put it perfectly, this character who took no shit, and put him in, it made him just like the most vulnerable party member in a flash. And the way they just immediately started building that up with like the choices he made, you're like, okay, fucked over the hometown. That sucks. But, you know, he's always been a for the greater good kind of guy since the start of Remake, right? Like you see right there with the attack on the reactor. And one thing that Remake did really well is when you blew up that reactor, you didn't really see it in the original game, but you see how it affects Midgar and how it destabilizes people's lives. And like people actually died in that terrorist attack. And like, you're not these ultra good guys like you once originally thought you were. And so I always thought like Barrett's just for the greater good guy. Like, yeah, okay, this sucks. This happened to his hometown. But then you see how personal it gets where he loses his arm. He loses his wife. His daughter technically isn't his own. It's almost like borrowed from this guy who he fucked over royally from his own choices. And that guy dies. Like I immediately felt really strong for Barrett. So strong I chose to romance him. But I did feel so strong about like his entire arc there. I was like, wow, they just flipped him from like in the first game, he's not a bad character, just nothing really happens. It's really Aerith and Tifa and their kind of relationship, and of course Cloud, and just building that whole entire area up of Midgar. But I think Barrett kind of sits backseat a little bit, which isn't a problem. Like he's got a strong personality, so he can do that. But then you get to this game where he just in a lot of the side quests, even he shows some emotion, like him crying over Marlene, and like it's a little dramatic, but like you see that and it's done in a funny way. But he's far more emotional than he lets on, and I think at one point in the scene before they get on the cart to ride the gondola to ride the golden saucer, like he puts on his glasses, and you see like a tear go down his face, like he has like a strong emotional side that I think he always hides away, and the way they reveal that was just super well done, and you know I felt horrible for him once that all went down. And I agree that the boss fight afterwards, this is where they almost had like too much budget. It's like, you guys, you didn't need to. This is a sick boss fight, but we didn't really need this here. Like, just leave me with my feelings right now, and let's just ride this gondola into the golden saucer, where there's gonna be a million mini games. Happy
it was a
music.
cool boss fight, so I'm not like super mad about it. Like it's not like it didn't affect my overall opinion about it. But if I'm gonna nitpick, I'm like, I don't know.
Sure.
It comes down to that nitpicking.
Well, we stole Palmer's room, his hotel room, so he was not happy about that.
I guess
one other thing about Barrett that I just think is so cool when you get the whole context is that I think that for a lot of people, if you didn't play the original, or if you're like me where you played the original and you don't quite remember everything, you question when you play Remake, like, why does Barrett has this daughter that doesn't really seem, it's not really his daughter, but he treats her as her own daughter. What's the relationship there? What's going on? And when you get the full context about Marlene, like him saving her, them being from this town, and Barrett's best friend dying, and it's his daughter and stuff, it's like kind of connects all the dots together, where it's like, this is Barrett kind of like, man, I really fucked over this entire situation. This is the only thing I have, and it's the only thing I can try to make right is by taking care of Marlene, which even then you could argue maybe he's not necessarily doing a good job by becoming a leader of a terrorist organization at the same time. But it adds a lot of the context, just kind of further explains their relationship and Barrett's motivation behind it.
Mm-hmm. Totally, man.
Yeah, like he's not a perfect guy, and this just kind of underlines all of that. Like he's not some hero. Like he's kind of a piece of shit, but you still love him because he's trying to make right with it.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone gets to Gold Saucer after Corel Town or whatever it's called, and big song and dance number. Really fun. Everyone gets in there. Dio shows up, the park director. He's fucking jacked. And Yuffie faints at his muscles. Love all that shit. He challenges Cloud to a 3D brawler fight, which I love the 3D brawler game. So I had a lot of fun doing that. Get through all that stuff. Then Barrett's like, fuck this shit. I hate this amusement park. And him and Cloud go to the haunted hotel. And I love the guy at the front desk. He's like that mummy. He like comes down, all bandages it up, and he scares Barret. So good, man.
The hotel is so good.
Dude, the hotel was so fantastic. I'm so mad it's not real. I would totally spoil it there.
I feel like a golden, because they're doing like in I think it's Saudi Arabia. They're doing like a Dragon Ball world, and I'm just thinking like when I was playing, I was like a golden saucer in real life seems like such an obvious thing if you can swing it. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Totally, yeah.
This is the closest thing to a gold saucer in real life is this game.
I know. It's the closest we got, dude.
Yeah.
But man, was it good. And we meet Kate Sith here. He's like telling fortunes, I think the first thing he did. It's funny, like the fortune comes out of his like robot Mog's mouth. Really loved all that kind of stuff. And he swipes Palmer's room for us, essentially. So Palmer and the Turks get left out in the cold. But yeah, Cloud goes to sleep, and I kind of like this. They do this throughout the game. Is when a lot of times when Cloud goes to sleep, it switches over to Zack and his whole storyline going on there.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and when he goes to sleep, you get the POV of Cloud in the wheelchair, seeing Zack walking around the room. So it's like kind of hinting at like the connecting. It kind of seems like Cloud is able to, more so than others, kind of go between these two worlds somehow. And he doesn't know why necessarily yet. And they kind of go into the more of that later down the line. But yeah, you get to go through on the first date, I would say, of Gold Saucer. Got Tifa, of course. Had to get Tifa. Yeah. Dustin definitely got Tifa, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who'd you get the first time? Yeah, who'd you get the first time, Gene, here?
I also got Tifa, too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So and you got Barret Matty the first time.
Yeah,
right?
In this case, like you're kind of stuck with one of the girls. I don't think you can fail. I don't think you can quote unquote fail and be gay in this date. So fail into gaydom, you know.
But it's cool.
It's like, oh, you fucked up. I guess you're gay now.
So. Yeah. You get a little tour of the whole Gold Saucer, and you get to play some mini games. Love the mini games. They tease a snowboarding mini game, dude. I'm like, oh, fuck.
It's so crazy that they just tease a snowboarding and they're like, it's going to be in the next game, though.
I know. I hope they have the submarine game, too. I hope that's in there.
Dude, the submarine game has to. It's a whole sequence.
It has to be, right?
It's going to be this whole like new submarine like controls or whatever like that. Just like what Matty said. It's like it's just for 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah, I can't.
It's going to be the greatest submarine game we've ever played, you know.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be fantastic. But yeah, during all this, they say on the loudspeaker, there's like an active shooter in the Gold Saucer. And it's someone with like a gun arm. And Barret, of course, investigating this. Dio is suspicious and thinks it's Barret. Of course, no one believes that Barret would do this. So Dio kind of gives you a choice to help him. You go down into, I forgot what it's called, like Corel Prison, I think it is, the region down below the Gold Saucer. Here you get kidnapped by Gus. He's the kind of guy that runs this Mad Max town, and he kidnaps everyone and essentially makes Cloud do a bunch of quests for him, or he makes Cloud do the Chocobo race to get money for him in order to free all of his friends and get information where Barret is. And of course, after that ties into all we were talking about with Dine. So we get all the Dine stuff, all that good shit. Yeah, Dine says right before he dies, his last words are, "You carry that guilt, that weight." And it just dies, dude. It's just like, God,
that's so fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
I had one thought about the Gold Saucer part. I'm curious what you guys think.
Yeah.
Because there's a comment, I think, from Barret towards the beginning where he talks about, you know, imagine how much Mako this place he uses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about that as kind of a theme throughout the game, but most particularly in this part is that it's not really acknowledged the fact that, and I think it is maybe a little bit in Remake that, yeah, Barret and Avalanche want to take down Shinra, but there's also this full acknowledgement that like, yeah, but the world needs electricity. Like the world needs power.
Yep.
And particularly in this moment in the Gold Saucer, you could argue there's some hypocrisy or whatever, because they could be the annoying like protest that's like, well, we have to stay here, but we're not going to enjoy the fruits of what this horrible, system has made in the Gold Saucer. But it's like, no, they actually unwind and have a good time. And that there's kind of like, I guess not an acknowledgement, but with that comment at the beginning about how much Mako it uses, and then they just go and enjoy it for what it is. It's like, okay, well, it is still so very short-sighted, which obviously now the fight is more against Sephiroth than Shinra overall. But it's like, you guys kind of use Mako too, and so do I. Like if Shinra goes down, a lot of people are going to just simply die. And are you grasping that, and are you realizing that? I don't know. It was just an interesting dynamic to see them to see him complain about how much Mako uses, and then everybody just goes and like hangs out and plays games.
Yeah. After all the Barret stuff, Dio gives the crew the buggy as a reward. The buggy car, I'm so happy they brought it. I love driving around.
I couldn't believe they included the buggy. I was like, holy shit, the buggy's still in.
Yeah, it's so good, man.
Take that Mass Effect Mako.
Oh,
the Mako, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, and
I just want to talk about how great the buggy is, because like we suffered through 2 Mass Effects with no fucking vehicles, because they're like, oh well, we just can't fucking figure out vehicles, so we'll just give up this fun thing. We'll just give up trying to do it, And here comes Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's like, no, we're gonna try to make this shit work, We know that the buggy is fun. It'll be cool to drive a buggy in the fucking desert, outside the Gold Saucer.
Yeah,
you can actually park the fucking buggy in the Gold Saucer and drive it out. That's crazy,
Yeah. The other thing,
interaction and immersiveness in this game,
Yeah. Other thing that kind of surprised me was like, you look at like Final Fantasy 15 as this example of until they patched it a lot, the driving wasn't great.
Oh my god, yeah.
It was all on rails, and I was like, so when they give me the buggy, my initial thought was like, okay, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, I can just ride this thing. But in fact, I have way more freedom in this thing than I do when I'm on foot. Like there are certain cliffs you can't jump off of. There's shortcuts you can't take unless you're in this buggy. So they actually did a good job making it like the ideal way to get around too, which I really liked.
Yeah, because you don't ride a chocobo around there. You're just driving this thing around. They also had the Kid G and the Cactar side quests, where you'd go out in the world, you'd find those Cactar things, and like the characters would get stuck in the Cactar pose for a while. I really liked that, because whenever it happened, they're like, who's going to get struck by it?
The actual combat challenge was a little boring, but literally everything else around that quest was fun. So I think that's what they do. It's like, okay, well, maybe this part is a little boring. Let's just make everything else about this quest super fun and interesting,
Yeah, it was. Kid G was cool. I liked Kid G. Kid
G was awesome too. He's a cool character,
relic. Yeah, I really liked all that kind of stuff. So all good stuff. But then after that, head to go Gongaga. So Gongaga, I believe the original was an optional place, and it was much smaller this time around. It's
3 screens. Now. The original Gongaga was 3 JPEGs originally. Yeah. It was 3 fucking JPEGs.
Wow.
Yeah, and now it's like a humongous jungle region. Really liked this region. You get the chocobo. I think it's the green one where you can like jump off the mushrooms and get crazy distance. I really loved all that.
Yeah.
And you get to the town, and you meet Cisne from Crisis Core. She's here. She's the coalition captain now of this whole town. She kind of like runs it, and she recognizes Cloud right away and says, "You." And he says, "What?" And she realizes that he doesn't know who she is. So she just kind of sweeps all that on the rug right there. Of course, you learn a little more about that later on, but yeah, it's really great to see. I'm really happy they included Cisne. It made sense after Crisis Core, kind of where she ended up.
Yep, sure. Yeah.
So it's great to see her. And I really liked that you got to meet, they were in the first game, but like meeting Zack's parents and Aerith there, talking with all of them, and them asking Cloud about Zack, if he knows all of Costa, he has the head trauma, kind of bring it up. And Zack's asking Aerith Cloud's asking Aerith about Zack, and asking like that was her first love and all that kind of stuff. And Cloud's like, forget that guy. He's like a bum. He left you out in the cold. And Tifa and Aerith like both get pissed at him for saying that shit. I was like, oh, classic Cloud, dude. He just doesn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what did you guys think of Gongaga? Specifically, like the town. Just getting to explore this jungle region. Because, you know, a lot of the regions were much more open, I would say a lot. But this one's very dense.
Yeah, it's dense and it's almost kind of difficult in the right way to navigate around. And I particularly like the Chocobo special move where you shoot across is super fun. And but yeah, this is actually it's the region of the open world I probably spent the least amount of time in, because that was when I was starting to get open world fatigue. But it's the region when I think back that I want to go back to the most, because it's one of the more unique environments of the game overall. Shout out to the side quest here that I believe PETA complained about or something, where you got to get the lady's chicken. Yeah, and then she straight up is like, dinner.
They played like the game over music when they you're at the end. You're like, you realize the chickens are dead now.
Yeah, Red. Like they eat the chickens, but Red's like not. He's still not okay with it. He like howls after they eat the chickens. Oh man. It's so good. What a fun twist.
I knew it was going to end in. I knew we were going to cook the chickens, because that's so you know, a little Gene lore. But I was actually raised on a chicken ranch, so that's how we used to lure the chickens in to cut their heads off. We would use a little can to like lure them in, you know, and so I would have like a little string on a can. We used to do exactly that shit to lure in the chickens so we can cut their heads off.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy! I didn't know that. Damn, it's some Gene lore too, man.
Yeah, that shit was real. So PETA was right to like actually like be horrified by it, because it's like they put in some real chicken shopping tactics in there.
Yeah. After hanging out the town for a little bit, Cloud, like Barret, and I think Kate, Sith, and maybe Red go off to the reactor, you know, because they got a busted reactor out there. A bunch of people died from it. Of course, most Shinra reactors seem to blow up. You go there. They're looking for clues and materia and all that stuff. And Shinra shows up, particularly Scarlet. You fight one of her biofreaks. And while this is happening, the girls start to head over there too. Then they fight Scarlet. And this is when we get like Cloud really snapping. Really a moment where he like really loses it. Sephiroth's whispering shit to him.
Yeah.
Saying like... Tifa's like a fake, all that stuff. And he convinces Cloud in this moment that Tifa is Jenova. Man, you get like the hardest scene in this game of Cloud just like turning full Sephiroth and just fucking up all these guys. Yeah. When he does that pose, you're like, oh shit, dude, it's on. And he gets like blood all over his face.
He's dodging the bullets with his fucking like head.
Oh yeah. That was
like, oh dude.
Yeah, that was
he's just being way too nice with it right now, you know?
Yeah. Then Tifa shows him the scar again that she had, but they like lifts up her shirt a little bit. Cloud doesn't buy it, dude. Tries to kill her, man. She falls in a pool of Mako, then gets gobbled up by a weapon. New weapons. These new like whale weapons. These guys are brand new.
I think they're baby weapons. I think they're
they might be growing more.
I think
they don't look anything like the weapons that we remember.
I think they're the baby versions of the weapons that we'll find out soon.
Maybe, yeah, they could be. Yeah. But yeah, then what did you guys just think of that whole part? First of all, with fighting as the other party, then switching over to the other party, Cloud losing it, Scarlet, all that stuff.
This part was crazy because this was like the most different that the game has been. You know, because this was all.
It was a rapid,
Yeah, I was really, really impressed with the whole sequence of Cloud and everyone just fighting at the reactor, and then the girls and Red just jumping in there and hopping onto the chocobo and speeding across the landscape. Like the music, the story, like I really felt pressured into like hurrying up and trying to save Cloud.
Yeah,
and everything that happened afterwards was just absolutely shocking. Like the way this game, this is the chapter where the game plays with you the most on whether they're going to kill Tifa or not, right?
Yeah.
And the sequence where Tifa is in the live stream, which is new also. I started crying, or I started tearing up at least when Tifa says, "Am I dying?" And I'm like, "No, dude." I was like, "The video game, you cannot do this to me. You cannot kill Tifa right here, right now. This makes no sense. you can't do this, and they don't. But
yeah, they don't.
But the way this game fucks with your emotions so much, just like when they killed Barret for no reason in the first game, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. You get to see like when she's in the live stream, you can like see her home and like the water tower and all that stuff, and just emphasizing her connection to Cloud. All that's really important.
It's a beautiful moment. Yeah, I love the scene. You know, it's awesome. Yeah.
Is this the introduction of like the white whispers and then there's the black ones? So that's I will say the one thing, man, I keep being no, this isn't a nitpick, but I'm always the one bringing up the negative parts. But I kind of expected, you see Cloud get more murdery than normal, you know, killing these guys, getting blood on his face. And then, you know, totally takes a slash at Tifa, nearly killing her. She falls into a pool of Mako, gets eaten by the big, you know, fish. And then afterwards, I kind of expected this to be like a kind of a real relationship tear between the two of them. It's like, bro, you killed that guy. Then you tried to kill me. And I understand you're going through something right now, but seriously, you need to fucking shape up because you're going to kill me or someone. And she's just kind of, you know, it's all good. You know, you were being controlled, whatever. Like, I don't know. Based on what happened,
dude, that's why.
Yeah, she does. You'd think that she seemed more annoyed with him at the beginning of the game when he wasn't accidentally trying to kill her under manipulation. You know what I mean?
If Holly tried to kill you right now, you would still give her a chance, right?
Well, yeah, I guess there would just be like at least a little bit more anger involved with someone trying to kill you, or like a heart to heart that's like,
sure,
dude, get it together. Which Barret is kind of the guy that's always like, or you know, Merc, you shape up, you know, whatever. But
bitch slaps Cloud later.
Yeah, but
Dustin, I think some of it is because up to this point we kind of start learning about degradation, and particularly Cloud learns about it, and so does Tifa. And Cloud kind of is like worried about what's happening to him. So, and he's been kind of freaking out more and more. But yeah, Tifa's kind of the one that always grounds Cloud, I would say, back to reality. But yeah, I mean, they have like that.
I think the whole live stream sequence was meant to be like, oh, Tifa, you should really forgive Cloud when you wake up, kind of thing. So that's why when she wakes up, it's like, so that's how I kind of took it as, you know, yeah, I totally get you, Dustin. I was also expecting this to be like, oh, this is where the tension happens, but nope, they just kind of truck along, you know?
Yeah.
This whole stretch was like that. So I feel like every stretch of a game you love, you have that like, oh, I love this game moment, right? And I feel like this really chapters 8 and 9 were those moments combined. You know, you go from that emotional moment with Barret, and then you get into this stretch here in the reactor in Gongaga. I mean, also just going again, Crisis Core sensibilities kicking in, like just, you know, me, Gongaga. Like I just, you know, that's what I thought of right away. I was like, oh shit, Siste showing up.
I keep repeating that phrase the whole time during this conversation, even right now. You know?
I just, it spoke to all those tendencies that I like about Final Fantasy VII. The conversation with like Zack's parents was really kind of like sad, just knowing, you know, like his fate and them kind of holding out hope for him to be there. And obviously, again, we're playing from the point of like, we don't know what's happening right now. We like, is Zack going to end up living at the end of this trilogy? Is he going to end up dying again? Like, are they going to lose him again? Like, it's like that moment of uncertainty that really fuels a conversation like that. And so I thought that was really good. But yeah, my favorite part of the game is one of my favorite parts of the game as well was that moment of Cloud going full Sephiroth, because it showed to me that Square Enix knows how to use blood really well. Like there are games that just go full out gore, and that's cool. Like that works. Like I think a Fallout, like it works. It's hilarious. It's extreme. There are other games like The Last of Us where it's really violent. There's different uses of blood, and there's ones who are more reserved and only bring it out for the big moments. And so when you see him do the Sephiroth pose, like the blade above his head, and then he starts cutting people down, you're seeing the blood all over. It is that moment. Like he's not just like embodying Sephiroth's actions. Like he is as much of a murderer as him right now, in every shape and form. And then like normally you think in a JRPG, he breaks out of that trance like, oh, what did I do? No, he goes after one of the main party members immediately after and tries to kill her. I thought the White Whispers were interesting because that's where my theory started to form of like, oh, what if like there's a timeline where Sephiroth's trying to push towards something And then I thought of White Whispers as like Aerith. And I'm like, what if these are like two fates fighting against one another? Or is this like the original timeline versus the changed timeline? So it was the start of some like serious theory crafting on where we're going here. And I felt like, while there are many moments the game's story is like broken wide open, that was where I think I started to fall off the open world, because I was so curious what was going to happen next that I kind of wanted to just keep going, keep getting through the story, not rush it, but just, like try to get through it as much as I possibly can within reason. And yeah, that was the big hook for me. I love that stretch.
I hear that a lot from other people where right when they get to the Gongaga chapter, they're like, okay, fuck these mini games. I need to finish this fucking story.
And they hit you with that chat. Then they hit you with the, again, we're going to talk about, but like that chapter 10 dungeon with Kate Sith, where it's like, this is a good dungeon. But like after that moment in the story, you don't want to have that kind of fucking dungeon. Like you just want to get me Vincent.
That's true.
Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's keep going.
When you really want the game to get going, the worst dungeon is right in the next fucking chapter.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
But also the Scarlet fight is fucking sick. Come on, like that mech, awesome.
That was tough. I had trouble with that one. I didn't die,
hard.
but like I had to do that cheese where it's like one person alive, 10 health, run around waiting for the ATB gauge to slowly refill, revive. It's like, I'm not engaging. I'm going to die the second I do. Like I definitely was scraping by in that fight.
Mm-hmm. This game was a little bit more harder than I expected, actually. It was a little bit more.
Well, I found out I was using Cloud wrong. I mean, I know he's not available in that fight, but it reminds me, I was using Cloud wrong the whole time until I showed a friend, because I was like streaming it on Discord. And he was like, wait, if you like press triangle and you switch into Punisher mode, you get like an automatic parry. I was like, yeah. What? He's like, yeah, it's in the first game too. I'm like, dude, I feel so fucking dumb. And I started doing that, and Cloud just becomes insanely I always thought Cloud played well, but like way better now.
He's so good.
Yeah. Like I felt so dumb about that. So that was kind of a cool moment.
We're talking about playing Sephiroth at the beginning. I think Cloud still plays better than Sephiroth,
Oh yeah. Like all the air movement, the wind dash and everything is so good.
Apples and oranges, those boys. Dustin, you were going to say something.
Yeah. I want to go back on the Tifa topic that I had brought up, because I'm like watching through the parts of the game that we're playing as we're talking, just to remember. Gene, I think you're right. I think my comment about Tifa being that she should have been mad, I think that now that I remember this scene where they're like she's like asleep because she was like probably Mako poisoning, stuff like that, and she wakes up. She's talking about how Cloud saved her, and Cloud's like, yeah, I fucking suck. What's a hero? Someone that tries to hurt his friend. She's like, this time I'm going to save you.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, so they go out of the way.
That's after it all. Yeah.
The reason why I know this scene is because I played it 3 times, because you can play, because I wanted to see Tifa in the bikini when she's inside the weapon.
Oh yeah,
that's dedication. I love that.
When she's completely bored by Emerald weapon, and then she's like floating in the Mako juice, and she's in the bikini. So I had to see like both bikinis too. So I have screenshots of that on my phone.
Easy access.
So it's a whole folder of Tifa drowning in Mako.
Oh yeah.
Down here we also see Sephiroth in the live stream. Actually, I was like, is this proper Sephiroth? Like actual Sephiroth? Or is this like a Genova thing again? And you see him fighting the White Whispers. And Maddie, that could be Aerith interfering, or the planet itself. I was not exactly sure, but we know there's two factions fighting. Then Sephiroth sees Tifa inside the weapon, and he fucking tries to stab her. Barely misses, but pretty cool to see him try to take her out, because she is so important later on. But yeah, like saying after that, the weapon eventually spits Tifa back up to everyone. Barret slaps Cloud. They take her back to Sisane's house, and we get that very nice scene of Cloud and Tifa talking. You're saying about like her thinking he's a hero because he went back to her when she fell, and he's dealing with dealing with all that shit, like him trying to kill Tifa and the degradation, and they're about to kiss. Then you get fucking Yuffie and Kate Sith against the door, just fucking ruin the moment.
Yeah,
everyone just fucking hates him. Dustin probably got even more furious at Yuffie after that moment.
Yeah,
it's like fuck. But yeah, then after that, the gang decides to head to Cosmo Canyon, and they decide to get there by plane. And here's where we meet Sid, a very different way than we meet him in the original game. Originally, we meet him in Rocket Town, but right now he's like a pilot and he's running like a delivery kind of service thing here. And you get to get on the tiny Bronco, actually flying, and he delivers everyone to Cosmo Canyon. What did you guys think about seeing Sid and how he's introduced in this game?
I like the way they managed to in this game, especially weave in these side companions that aren't playable yet and make them feel meaningful. I mean, because I think you get like a good example and a bad example. Like Vincent Valentine's one of my favorite characters in 7, just because of like his whole presentation. Like he's just awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And his story's awesome, but like he kind of hangs in the background in this game. But like Sid has this meaningful purpose, moving the gang around. He gets kind of invested in their journey pretty quickly. And so I liked how he went from businessman to friend pretty fast. So I like that introduction as well. And this is where I'm curious to get everyone's thoughts, because I know this is where we're going to start talking about like the change in Red 13's voice, which, he went from talking like this all the time to just, hey guys. And I personally didn't mind the whole transformation for Red 13.
I loved it.
I really liked it because I thought it was pretty important for his character. But like overall, I enjoyed Cosmo Canyon. I thought Brad, it's interesting. You like the dungeons where they split up the party. I don't at times, because like I have certain equipment and materia and things set for certain characters, and others are leveled up but not really good to go combat wise. And eventually you just learn like I'm going to make all of them as combat ready as possible, but some are better than others. And so when you're forced to pretty much do like I forgot who your backup party member in that dungeon was, but like you're
Barret and I think just Red. I think it's just those two.
And I love Barret in this game. He plays really, I think, better than he does in Remake.
Oh yeah, much better.
Some of the party comps they set you up with are just like you're destined to fail, and it bugs me at times where it's like some of these fights are more difficult not because they're actually hard, but because who I'm playing as. So yeah, that was like the other kind of drawback for 10, but I liked it because you had a lot of like kind of peaceful, quaint moments with the party, a lot of good conversations. It felt like Aerith was starting to understand her role a little bit better, starting to turn a little bit of a Yuna death march, if you will. So yeah, overall, I enjoyed Chapter 10.
Yeah. What did Gene? What did you think about Cosmo Canyon as a whole? Getting to meet Bugenhagen. He was a lot more sassy than I remembered from the original game. It's been many years, or like 4 years since I played it, but Tifa's talking about her experience in the live stream, and everyone's just pretty much fucking not believing her. Like he like sends them to that seminar later on, and she's telling her story to everyone there, and everyone's just like not really believing her either. So it's like sows a lot of doubt in her mind about all this stuff.
Yeah.
What did you think of all of Cosmo Canyon?
Well, let me finish Manny's point about introducing the characters late in the game, right? I think it's fascinating that it feels like that we've known Red for such a long time, and I think it's partly because he was in a remake. So we've been kind of adjusting our minds to this character for the last 4 years. So I think that it's going to work the same way with Sid and Vincent, even though Vincent is obviously just in the background, like not really doing much, and there's like one quest that really goes into his character. The fact that he's just there will really lend to like him just feeling so familiar and just being part of the party by part 3. So I'm really looking forward to that. With Cosmo Canyon itself, I do remember Bugenhagen being a little bit more sassy than you might expect. He was always kind of like the because I remember I played this game in Japanese, so I remember him always going oh ho 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 all the time. So he's always like the jubilant old man in my head. One thing I'll say about Cosmo Canyon is I want to talk about like the direction, the musical and cinematography direction in both Remake and Rebirth. I think I it took my breath away when we were seeing the Cosmo Canyon like cutscene, and Red is like getting excited and he's walking in, and then the camera switches back to our control, like right behind Cloud, and as soon as that happens, the fucking flute drops in. Do, 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 right when you get control of it, right? And it's just like moments like that are just like so fucking perfect that Square Enix and this team like nails it. It reminds you of the other moment in Remake when you first hear the main battle theme, and Cloud is just saying the soldiers say something, and then Cloud looks at them and say, that's my line. And he just like looks up at them, and then the fucking camera snaps back right behind them, and then fucking music drops, and you hear the actual battle theme. Like, it's really moments like that I'm just like astounded with, where they're just able to engineer all these different features and artistic layers to just make the moment just feel perfect in play. I just love it. That for me was just the most memorable part of Cosmo Canyon, because everything else is kind of the same. You know, you learn about the background of the planet and everything, and we can talk about the dungeon later. But the dungeon part was actually pretty interesting for this one. So
yeah, Dustin, Cosmo Canyon, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if I have too much to add that you guys haven't touched on it. The scene in the like planetarium type room or whatever is amazing. That was one of the ones before this game came out that I was really looking forward to seeing getting the remake treatment. And
me too. Actually,
it was awesome. I will say, as far as Red's voice, the first time I heard it, when I guess it's not really the first time, but the first time you directly see him and he's like walking up, he's like, "Hey!" I'm like, "Oh no, what they do to my boy here?" But I think you're right that I got used to it pretty quick, and then it made him a much more endearing character. It made him feel a lot more vulnerable, so I ended up really liking it. And there's a point, I don't know if you guys can remember, there's a point later on where he brings back his old voice to like sound tough or something that was very cute. So it was
did you catch when he broke voice before we ever found out?
Oh, when
not when he was talking to Aerith, but there was a moment afterwards. Can you guess which moment it was?
When they were in the bathing suits?
Yeah, when they were in the bathing suits. And he's like,
yeah.
He did do that. I forgot about that.
Yeah. That was in the trailers. Awesome. Like, nobody caught that.
Yeah, it was good.
But yeah, then we get the whole trial with Red 13. Bugenhagen takes him down there. Barret joins him. Everyone else has to wait outside. But yeah, you go through this whole dungeon with, I thought it was cool, Barret, Red 13. You get to run around the walls a little bit with Red, which is always fun.
That was cool. I like that part.
Yeah, and you get to learn a little more about the history of the Gi attacking and all that kind of stuff. You know, you fight like that giant ghost Gi. I really like that guy. He looks awesome. I forgot what his name is. Yeah, that guy's awesome looking.
Crazy.
All that stuff. Then you find about Red 13 and his father, like what happened to his dad. Actually, you know, he thought he was a coward his whole life that ran away, but his dad actually stayed behind and sealed the door behind him to fight them. And he's stoned. And of course, he does the tear that runs down the statue's face.
That part got me. I was like, dang. It was so good.
Man. And you love that stuff. But then the Gi guy, what was his name? This Gi character who like takes you on the boat and everything like that. That's all new. I'm trying to remember if
Gina talk, that's
if they
so
made
he was a boss in the original one, and now he's just a whole fucking character.
I was trying to remember if they are the ones that made the black materia in the original game. I want to say they are, but I couldn't remember exactly. But
I don't think they mentioned who made the black materia. I think it was just black materia is there, and then so I think the whole backstory about the Gi making the black materia is like new.
Okay, well, it's a really cool idea. I really like it about them. The reason they made it, you know, because they're not from this planet, and if they die, they can't return to the planet like everyone else who's actually from there. So they're kind of trapped as ghosts. So they made the black materia to essentially destroy the planet so they could be free from being ghosts. And I really like that story. They talk about the Cetra kind of fucking them up in the past and stuff like that because they fought for the planet. And he essentially wants he wants the party to grab the black materia so that you can destroy the Earth. They're like, yeah, we'll find it, but they're like, we're not gonna give it to this guy. This guy's a psychopath. But yeah, I loved all that stuff. It's really cool getting way more of the Gi backstory. Going on the boat ride was really great. I really appreciated all that stuff. I thought that was all really good expansions of the original game.
Yeah,
big time into it. Oh yeah, like we were saying earlier, the side quest deal with Wedge, man. Wedge finding out his fate, fucking brutal. That mini game, dude, was much harder than the other ones in my opinion. Where you have to like send out like around the circle the little units out, destroy the boss in the middle.
I used the computer suggested tactics or whatever. There's a way where you can just let the computer kind of take over.
Okay, damn, that probably would have helped. But yeah, after all this, Red joins the crew permanently. Bugenhagen's like, yo, you should get out there, protect the planet. So he joins the party permanently. So we kind of get Red's backstory. But yeah, I enjoyed all that stuff. What did you guys think about the cave and all the Gee stuff, the boss fights, all that?
I thought this one had a lot of interesting different things as far as like you got to get those little statues and stuff.
Yes.
I liked Red climbing on the walls. I did feel like it was a little, I don't know if it was like Gene, like you were saying, like in the previous section, there's the whole crazy shit with Tifa and the live stream and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, I'm on the precipice of the next story thing, and this dungeon's just like a little longer than I want it to be. Mm-hmm. So that put a little bit of a damper on it for me, but it wasn't like sewer levels of remake. I was all right.
Oh man, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're getting there.
I want to say too.
Almost.
Yeah,
that might have been. No, okay. I was trying to remember where my gap was for when we left for New York and came back. Mm-hmm. I think there was a different small gap that was like the worst possible place to take a little pause because it just made it feel even longer for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I think it's after.
Yeah, I was looking this up real quick, Gene, the Gee stuff, and I think, yeah, that's all pretty much new. I think they were pretty mysterious in the original game. So I think that's a really cool kind of explanation, fleshing out and like giving the origins of the black materia. I think that's all really cool stuff. I really
that part was fascinating because I was like, this shit is all new. This is interesting, and they have a backstory for the black materia, which was fascinating. So
love all that stuff. But yeah, the black materia. They're like, okay, we gotta find the black materia. We gotta go back to Nibelheim to use the computer to get some clues like that. So the whole crew heads back to Nibelheim. Matt is rubbing his hands. You got something to say, Matty? You ready to go?
Just anytime, Nibelheim. You know something good's gonna happen when you go back, right? You know, anytime you're in that area, something good's gonna go down. Sorry,
yeah, man. Oh yeah, but they get to Nibelheim now. It's been rebuilt, and it's now like a town that is like its purpose is to like help out the black robed figures essentially and help take care of them. Not a lot of people, no one like remembers like the old town, like Tifa's house and Cloud's house are now occupied by different occupants and all that stuff. So you get some lore all about that kind of stuff, and everyone's kind of like hush hush about everything. And but then like the party splits up again. You get Cloud, Tifa, and Yuffie going up to the reactor to activate something for Cait Sith. And I really like this because you go up the mountain and Cloud remembers Zack, who Zack is actually. Mm-hmm. He thinks it's that soldier that drowned, which he's wrong about, but it's a nice little moment of conflict between Cloud gets like a little upset at Tifa because he's like, you knew the whole time who Zack was, essentially like it. It's like, why are you keeping that from me? And she's essentially saying, I just didn't want you to get upset. But I thought that was a nice little moment. Then we get the reactor. Wutai's now fighting against Shinra. There's a war breaking out between them all. So Yuffie's having to deal with all that kind of stuff. And of course, Tifa's dealing with some like PTSD, I guess, from her dad dying there, all that stuff. But yeah, thoughts on all of that so far? Everything leading up to the reactor getting to Nibelheim. Let me hear it.
Personally, just I think for me, just being able to like revisit after the events of the opening, right? Like I was saying how much I love the opening, so to see how like things have developed, like this game does a really good job of like having those random NPC conversations be I think worthwhile. There's always like reminds me a little bit of Trails, like everyone's saying something that kind of inches the story forward in their own way. And so I just like seeing like how things have recovered, how they've rebuilt. But yeah, I guess for me, I have the more impassioned thoughts about later in chapter 10.
But yeah, so then after that's going down, meanwhile, you switch over to Cait Sith, Aerith, and Barret. You go to Shinra Mansion. They go down below. They get captured by Hojo. Hojo has like some security stuff set up, his lab. Throws them all in the jail. Then we play everyone's favorite segment where you're a Cait Sith throwing boxes at shit. I know everyone loved that one. I also thought that went on a little too long. And I was like, all right, maybe one or two less rooms with all of this. I think that would have been fine.
I don't know if we talked about. I mean, we talked about Cait Sith getting introduced, but I'm curious what you guys just think about him in this game in general. Sound, he's got like this
Scottish accent.
Scottish.
I didn't know what I
accent.
expected, but it wasn't that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great throwback to the cultural his cultural roots of him being Keitshi, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kate shit. Yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of a shout out to his original pronunciation as Keitshi, the Gaelic pronunciation. So they decided to just make him a Scot, So they butchered the pronunciation, and so that's why he's just called Cait Sith now. But at least he's Scottish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Matty. It's not what I expected at all, because I actually, when I went into this, I don't think that I had heard any trailers or watched anything that I heard his voice. So I heard his voice for the first time in game, but I liked it. I actually think that he's probably one of my favorite characters of the game, just because he is so fucking weird.
Yeah, he's
just
awesome.
like this little robot cat guy that hangs out on this giant Moogle thing. And he's like this surprisingly cute little positive guy that just is around for the crew. He almost feels like he doesn't fit in a way, but totally fits at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like making the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, he does at the end. Yeah,
getting smushed.
He was so fun to play as too, man. I loved him. Like the dice throwing and like the random chance of how much damage you do, and like summoning the Moogle. Actually, then you can like set it to blow up, and you can like send it at guys. Super fun. Really
interesting. That's why I didn't like playing as him. I was like, this guy. When I'm playing as like Cloud or Tifa is like my favorite to play as, especially when you amp her up a bunch of times and she's just slipping and sliding everywhere. Like everyone has their own distinct feel. Like my least favorite to play as probably either Cait Sith or Aerith. Just because I think the combat's at its best when I'm just flying everywhere, and Cait Sith's just like tossing shit out and rolling dice, and I'm just
so good, man. It's so fun.
Like he's okay. He's fine as a side piece. Like I can totally get him as party member number 3. Making me run around as this motherfucker for an hour though is a crime. That's some insane shit. So like you got to think about it to the design level, right? Like when you really put them in a hierarchy, I don't think many people are gonna be like, yeah, I like playing as Cait Sith more than Cloud. Maybe someone out there does feel that way. You're wrong. But like someone at Square Enix went like, what if we just like made this dungeon and then took this character that no one's really going to use and just built a whole dungeon around playing as him? Like, who's with me? And everyone was with the idea. I was. Yeah.
Every character has their own moment of dungeon, right? So that's why this is Cait Sith's moment, and that's why it was terrible.
He gets the longest moment. He gets the longest moment. It's unbelievable.
Aerith's is pretty long.
Oh, Aerith's takes so long too.
Aerith's is long.
But I can switch to who's with Aerith? Tifa?
Yuffie and Tifa.
Yeah. Yuffie is my second most used character. I love.
I mean, Yuffie was there, yeah. So as long as Yuffie's in a party, you're good.
Yeah.
So.
Man, you don't like rolling around on the Moogle, man?
Not much.
Throwing like explosive things.
I didn't. I appreciate how different it feels, but definitely not on my top tier. Not anywhere in my mid tier.
All right,
my favorite
he's cool.
For sure.
He's the.
I'm just being extreme. He's not the worst.
He's not the worst. He's not my favorite character to play as. I just think he's fun and goofy.
That'd be a take though, Brad. That would like cement your legacy at LSM. Just being like, I'm a Cait Sith main. Like that's the guy I play in my party all the time.
He's fucking good, man. He can be really good.
No,
I think they're all good.
He doesn't feel.
He can be good. He can be very good. It's true.
Dude, when you get those like huge fucking lucky hits on it, and you stack the luck buff on him, man, so sick.
He's potentially the strongest character. There's that. So,
but shout out Cait Sith. Anyways. But yeah, so after that, they escape. Everyone else meets up. The whole crew gets back together. Then they go underground. Then we meet Vincent Valentine. He's like, who dares disturb my slumber? He busts out of his coffin. I really like the nice touches of like whenever he is about to hit the ground, he slowly, like lightly falls on it. Just like a perfect vampire. Because he kind of like, he always had like that vampire aura.
Oh yeah,
he like scans their key card and shit. His thing like doesn't work, and Cait Sith helps him activate it. All that stuff.
That was so good. Yeah, just immediately breaking the tension.
Yeah, he's security.
It's like he has a thing for that like a waiter brings to your table that you like, one of those things that you'd like sign and like he's just like ready at the go. But dude, yeah, Vincent, I mean, he's hot. Let's be real.
Oh yeah.
He's straight out, dude. This dude is like straight out of Hot Topic. He's got the new Under Oath CD on deck, and you know he's got the Edward Scissorhands vibe. I'm a big fan.
Waist. The girls love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Gene was right.
No ass though. Did you see? Zero ass.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Zero ass on Vincent.
Like a surfboard. It's crazy.
We're gonna need a buff on that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to buff that up.
Buff that up. Buff it up for next game.
Yeah, buff that up. Yeah, Gene, you're right.
Vincent, come on.
All the hottest girls were tweeting about Vincent. Right.
What do you guys think? I guess it's not like a spoiler cast thing, but like, what do you think they're going to do with his gameplay in the third
how
game?
he plays? That's a great question.
Do you think they make him into a third-person shooter? I feel like that would just be par for the course for them. And just
that's what
that
they
would be
did for
funny.
Final Fantasy 15.
Right?
Prompto was straight up a third-person shooter. So I would not be surprised if they do the exact same thing. They're like, hey, let's do Prompto again. But
I could see some
Valentine, baby. Yeah.
I could see some manual aiming elements. Part of me wants or kind of thinks it'd be about how kind of they do Yuffie, where you can do close range melee and further away stuff. Maybe he can like swipe with his claws or whatever, punch, then jump back and start shooting his guns and all that stuff too.
Yeah,
but I do like that idea, Matty, of like something like manually aiming at a certain point of the guy or something like that. That'd be really cool, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Brad,
that would be cool.
Out.
I do think that they're probably going to go the Avon Children route and try to make it look like that, where he's just like flying around and just going
he's going to be going crazy.
You know? Yeah,
I feel like they should, especially when you look at how Intermission ends, where they're literally pulling like main antagonists from Dirge of Cerberus. Like they have to bring that game back, right? Like, so I'm just thinking.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. I'm like, that's the furthest in the timeline. Like, you got to do something, man, to clean that up.
Yeah,
you got to do something.
Especially if you're going to tie it to Yuffie big time. She has those flashbacks when you're going through the Temple of the Ancients, and so that's why I was just curious what you guys thought of that. Just how he's going to end up playing.
Yeah, I'm really curious about him. I can't wait to see how him and Sid play.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest.
Like,
awesome. We all know how Sid's going to play. He's going to play like
he's going to be Dragoon.
Yeah, he's going to be Dragoon. Out of the sky.
Dragoons are always cool. So I need to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vincent eventually like lets them go. They pass clearance, even though the security card is not him or the right ones, but Kate Sith kind of convinces them. They go back in the library area, you see all the books and stuff like that. Cloud sees the pod that he was trapped in for like 5 years, and he has like another breakdown. Then Vincent comes back with his guns pointed at him, saying, I didn't say you could go in that room. And it's really funny. He like picks up Kate Sith, then he throws him back at Cloud, and Cloud like catches Kate Sith by his face or something in his hand. It was so good. Then you get to fight Vincent with this like chaos, the beast form, dude.
Yeah.
And I was so pleased. I didn't think we were going to actually fight Vincent. And that was a really cool fight. Like that gets me hyped for part 3 when you like limit break and you get to be that. That's going to be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even think of that too. Like the reverse of like when you are playing as him, like that's there now. It's made. So that's very exciting. Yeah. It was a great boss fight. I really like that they included that.
Yeah, totally. Really fun boss fight. Let's see. But yeah, after all of that, you fight Vincent. Glenn, I think you switch over to Zack at this point or someone, but Glenn is on the TV. It says they're now at war with Shinra after saying their troops were attacked by Shinra, but it's kind of like a false flag thing. Like they show video footage of like Shinra or like Wutai shooting Shinra troops or something like that, or the opposite way around. So now war is official between those two nations. And the group leaves Shinra Mansion after that. Vincent's not with them yet. And Roche comes back. Roche has been like juiced up hard. Hojo has been experimenting on him. Roche has been chasing that high to try to get to Cloud. You have a cool like little one-on-one with Roche at the end. Then Roche, dude, after the fight, those black robe guys kind of surround him. Then Roche becomes one of them, essentially. He gets the black robe. He's a mindless zombie now. So rest in peace, Roche, dude.
Yeah. I thought this was a cool moment just because I don't think we see how someone becomes one of the black robe guys. Like they just kind of appear. So, and we joked about Cloud and Roche's relationship earlier, but clearly there's even maybe from Cloud a little bit, some kind of kinship. They were kind of in the same boat. And now, this is kind of Cloud seeing like, oh shit, is this what my future
more degradation
holds?
kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dustin. But salute to Roche. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, that whole arc made me love Roche as a character. I was like, how tragic is that? And it's terrible.
Yeah. He just wanted Cloud's love.
And
now he's a zombie. But after that, the group starts to head off because they start to go to Gold Saucer because they realize the key to the Temple of the Ancients or whatever is in Gold Saucer. So they have to go there. And as they're getting on the plane, Vincent walks on board with them too. And he's like, you said your enemy was Sephiroth. He's like, I have like sins to atone for, stuff like that. So Vincent's now with the group. Love to see it. You got the whole party in the airship, dude, for once. And probably the last time with the whole party together. So
yeah,
a little bittersweet. Then we move on to the next chapter. Bronco engine flying in the air. Just busts, man. Doesn't get shot down this time. It just blows out. The tiny Bronco becomes the boat for a little bit. Was kind of happy to see it. Love the tiny Broncos, the boat. Very nice. Then you arrive at Costa del Sol. And there's this really funny line. When they land there, they're like, where's Vincent? And he's just like kind of off in the distance. And Barret's like, great, another loner. One's enough already. Cloud's like, yeah, we don't need any more of them. But everyone's like, we're talking about you, dude. So that was good shit. But yeah, then we head to the Gold Saucer. And Dio's beat up. He's all fucked up. And he has to fight Don Corneo from Walmart gets here. And he's trying to take over Gold Saucer, and they're going to have a fight to decide who takes over. But Dio's fucked up, and he wants you to fill in for him. So the group, and in reward, he'll give you the key, the group the key. Everyone accepts whatever. Then Cloud goes back to sleep. We cut to Zack. So once again, Cloud goes to sleep. We cut to the other side.
Oh, Brad, before you keep going, the fight here with
That's
okay,
later.
sorry, I it's there. Sorry,
No, all good. No, you're good. And we get an interesting line from Marlene. Marlene says to Zack that Zack needs to make Cloud better. She also says that if it's better for Aerith to stay asleep because Cloud's sick. Says Aerith will die if she wakes up. So once again, Marlene has this really interesting connection to what's going on. It seems like she is the most connected to Aerith and like knowing what's been going on, which I'm really curious about how they'll tie more of that into.
They teased that in Remake too, when Aerith goes. When she goes and saves her before the plate falls, and
this is a different Marlene too. So it's like, what the fuck,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, she says, Aerith will die if she wakes up. A scary man with long hair or gray hair. Cloud tries to save her, but doesn't make it in time. And Zack realizes it's Sephiroth, and he's like, fuck, I gotta try to save Cloud or something, like get this thing going. So there's this part where Zack's deciding what to do if he wants to. Because at this point, Biggs he leaves a note on Zack's bike saying, like, I'm going to blow up this reactor kind of thing. I'll probably die in the process. And Zack has to make a choice if he either wants to go to Shinra HQ to find a cure for Cloud or go the other way to save Biggs. And ultimately, he ends up choosing saving Cloud for this part. But then we cut back. It's date night, baby. The real date. We get Loveless. I got Tifa, of course. Going on the date with. You went on the date with the boys, Gene. And Matt, you got the Barret. Yeah. I actually thought the Loveless play was really good. I really liked it a lot. It was really cool to see Jesse there. And I was like, oh shit, it's Jesse. And that's sadly the last. Yeah. I thought Jesse was going to be alive, dude. I thought she was going to show up alive at this thing. But
I think that was the crying scene with Barret in his glasses I was thinking of. I might have been twisting up the moments, but yeah, that was.
Yeah,
that
he was probably crying.
Part. Yeah.
But I loved it because like during the play, you see everyone so into it, and you always see Sid like asleep during it all. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked the mini game where it eventually turns into Cloud. You know, it's the pushing the buttons, and depending on who you went the date with is like the princess and all that stuff. And you fight Barret. Barret looks awesome in his outfit, dude. It's so sick. You could buy that, I think, or no, you could buy Red's outfit. I think. I don't think you can get Barret. Sadly,
you can't get Barret, sadly,
in
or Clouds, sadly.
Yeah, they need to put those in the game, dude. They need to
I thought you would unlock them at the end of the game, but I was super shocked that you don't
can't
have
get
them.
the girls in the outfits either. Yeah, it's like, guys, come on, put those in the game, man.
It become a proper Final Fantasy game,
Yeah. And then after that, you get the Skywheel date, and in our game, mine and Dustin's, Cloud finally does it. Kisses Tifa.
Fuck. Wait,
yeah,
they kiss.
Not yet. They get the kiss out. Our boy finally did it. I clapped. I was like, thank God, Cloud, you fucking idiot. Finally pulled it off. How was the date with the boys first, Gene? What did they talk about?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shit! Like it's just the goon squad. It's just like me and the boys. We're all just gonna jerk off in the Ocean Gate submarine together. And then that's how it's all gonna end. It's hilarious because you mentioned Sid is sleeping during Loveless, so like he wakes up and he's just like grouchy and he has to go on this Ferris wheel, and Vincent doesn't give a shit, and Cloud doesn't give a shit. So it's just like one sleepy boy and two edgy boys, and Kate says, we're trying to have a good time, and he's eventually like, get me off of this thing. It's really really funny. I was super surprised that even though I barely paid attention to anything in this game besides the main quest, this game still decided to reward me with something cool and fun.
Yeah, that's so great. I love that. How was the date with Barret, Matty?
He tried to give me a wake up call. Pretty much, I'm not even kidding. Pretty much saying like, this shouldn't be you and me. You need to wake the hell up. And he's trying to kind of bro talk me through like, hey, there might be some women in our group that have feelings for you. You should be out with them and not me. Like the game was kind of shaming me for being with Barret almost. They're like, dude, you missed out this bad. So yeah, that was pretty funny in the scheme of things, but I was also a little annoyed. I was like, damn, man, I really wanted to go on that Tifa date. That was what I was shooting for. But again, I guess I like fucked up by skipping a little bit of side content by this point in the game, but also like I didn't, it kind of had like that Persona element where when you had those side conversations with the smiley face over the head, it's like, what is she gonna like here? Like, I'd pick wrong, and so that was it. My relationship was not as it would say on the side of the screen. Like, it wouldn't say your relationship with Tifa is transformed. I was like, fuck, man, missed out. But Barret, I just knew what to say every time. I just need to fire this dude up constantly.
Yeah,
so
get him pumped about the planet or something.
Yeah, exactly. And so then he was just like, yeah, he was just kind of shaming me for not being with Tifa or Aerith at that moment in time.
Damn.
Yeah, I also thought Loveless was great. That was a really fun moment. Was this was right before the big tournament that happens?
Yeah, it's before it, the night before.
Okay. Yeah,
I cried during their Promises to Keep song. I was like, holy shit, that was
so good.
Such a great performance, and Aerith is super going to die. That was that was a moment I knew Aerith was going to die. I was like, oh, she's super dead.
Yeah.
I was like, they're fucking killing her. There's
like,
no way that this scene is in the game, and she's crying, and she's gonna survive by the end credits. No.
Yeah, and by that moment, I feel like Tifa's window is closed. You kind of had that moment to kill her off in Chapter 9 or
exactly.
Once the door had been shut there.
Yeah, that's true. Around that time, I stopped worrying that they're gonna kill Tifa. I was like, oh no, she's totally safe. She's coasting through it. I was like, Aerith, on the other hand, no.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, as far as the song, I felt a little conflicted about it because I thought the performance was great and I thought it was cool that Aerith was the one singing it. This is a me problem. I was like, oh, that's not Aerith's voice though. That's not her singing. Sure.
Yeah.
And so that immediately, like, that's like the type of thing that this happens in like biopic movies they're about a band and they have someone else sing the parts. Or they have like the original recordings and they're just like lip syncing it. I'm like, nah, even if it doesn't sound quite right, I would rather have the actor sing it just so it doesn't take me out of the moment. It took me out a little bit, not gonna lie, but again, I'm saying it just a little conflicting because I still thought it was
because the voice is so fucking good.
Yeah, it's crazy good. Gotta sell those OSTs, Dustin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gotta sell that.
Sell
merch,
the CDs in Japan.
Sell the CD, the singles, all that stuff, dude.
That's true. But they do still sell the CDs in Japan.
Yeah,
you can still play CDs in Japan. I don't have anything that can play a fucking CD here in my house. PlayStation 5 won't play a CD.
Man, that's fucked up. Damn. But yeah, the next day you flash forward to the fight. You fight some goons and stuff. Then the Dawn, he's writing Don Corneo again. He's back, dude. He's writing the super boss. I always forget his name, but from the first game, he's writing him this time around. Fuck him up. Eventually, the Turks come. Get to fight the Turks again. Then you get to fight Rufus. I always love fighting Rufus. Always super fun. Got to catch him during the reloads. Really good. And then Darkstar, his hound, comes in. You got to deal with that. Really fun fight. Always love all that shit. What'd you guys think about all this?
I hated this sequence.
Me too. Okay, good, Matt. I'm glad we're on the same page.
All right.
Okay, Dustin, take it away then.
Interesting.
Well, no, I just felt like it was felt so forced into the game. They're like, oh yeah, we gotta figure out how you fight Rufus, because this it's been a few years. This doesn't happen in the original.
No.
Right.
No, it doesn't happen
okay.
at all. No.
Yeah. So I just felt like it's so weird, especially they're like, oh, we've got a special guest, the president of Shinra, Rufus Shinra. Like, I just felt it's funny because there are so many things about this game that are very anime-esque, where it's just like, oh, there's a song and dance number here. Just accept it. Like, and it's cool. I'm cool with that. But this in particular, I feel like pushed it a little too far, where I thought this is pushing the bounds of this just doesn't make sense to me.
Any sense?
Are you confused why they're there?
No, I just think it's weird that that's like, oh, we're going to fight them and we're just going to do it in the context of this tournament going on, and we're just going to play along and be part of the tournament.
Oh, yeah. That's fun, dude. I mean, they get it anyways. They steal it at the end.
Right.
Yeah,
Dude, they got to show off, man. Rufus, he's a public figure, man.
On its own, it's probably fine. It's just the compounding of weird pacing decisions at this point in the game that I just struggle with. It's like, okay, you look at it in the style like Kate Sith dungeon, okay, and then we get this, and I'm like, yo, guys, like, this game is huge. This should be zero padding story, because it's just there's so much on the outside of it that there's no need to like fluff it up in this kind of like random tournament that's happening there. The fights are great, don't get me wrong. But like this is where I started to have legitimate problems with the game story, more from a pacing standpoint than anything. I think the way it's told and the narrative itself is fantastic. But yeah, when I look at like the choices they made there, I'm like, this do we gain anything by keeping it there? And I'm like, I don't think so. I think you already know Rufus is a bad guy. I think you already know you're going to fight him at some point. I think you don't have to force that into this game. So I just felt like, when I looked at it from a broad perspective, I think there's a purpose behind the Kate Sith dungeon. I'm like, I think you can keep that, maybe just not make it as long. But like with this point, I'm like, you don't need this part. Like, you don't. Like, it could have just right to the finale from here. And they didn't do that. Like, I think
you mean Gold Saucer?
No, I'm just talking about like you have Loveless, you have that whole sequence. I don't think you need this little fight, these 3 fights in a row and all the cutscenes and stuff. I feel it loses some focus where
it was a lot of fights in a row.
Yeah. I'm like, once you're out, like, I feel like if you went straight from Loveless and that performance from Aerith, like a cutscene with the group, and then, okay, it's off to the final fight. When you look at that, I just feel that's like a way more seamless thread that brings you into like the thick of now she's going to die. And
no, you see, every chapter in this game needed a big boss fight, so that's why Dyne had to be a big boss fight. That's why Palmer was there.
Yeah, you're right.
That's why Scarlet was there, and that's why Rufus is here. That's how they decided to structure this game. Like, every chapter is going to,
and that's very JRPG,
huge,
right?
like,
so it's not like it's
fight,
wrong. It's not like it's a wrong thing. I just didn't like it much.
Yeah. You do the battle arena for the Keystone in the original game too, but it's not. You're not fighting like the Dawn and stuff like that, and the Turks, as far as I'm aware. But you do fight
the Dawn,
the
the Turks, and Rufus, like, 3 important characters.
Yeah, but yeah, I get that. That's
I totally agree with Dustin and Maddie. I think they are 100% correct, and people should be listening to them, and Square Enix should be listening to them. That said, I'm such a huge Rufus mark that this whole game
I love his
could just
voice
be
actor.
Rufus fights like throughout, and I'd be totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit,
like
we're fighting Rufus in chapter 16 again? Fuck it. I don't care.
I'm kind of like Gene, where I'm just like, dude, I just want sick boss fights right now. And you throw a cool one at me, I'm like, all right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love Rufus too.
Even
because
if
Rufus
the story
is
kind of slows down a little bit,
where
I'm just like, bro, I love these fights are fucking fun. I want to do it.
No,
Rufus
I
is my favorite fight in the whole game. He was my favorite fight in Remake. He's my favorite fight in this game because he's so like counter heavy. That's when you start doing that the clouds parry attack.
Yeah,
It really works well against Rufus. So,
But Maddie, I'm sure a lot of people agree with you. I'm sure.
No, but you bring up a good point.
Right.
It is just at a certain point, like I gotta get the stick out of my ass and be like, oh, it's just fun. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough balance, but it's probably it doesn't bother me because I'm like a huge fucking fan. And I'm just like, yeah, let's fucking fight these guys. This is sick. But
yeah, let's fight the Turks again. You know, this is even our last Turks fight too.
I know, dude. Yeah,
That's a crazy
fight them
thing.
a lot, dude. Yeah. But yeah, after that, everyone heads to the temple. Of course, you can do all the side, like the world, like really opens up in this chapter early on, where you can do like the proto relic hunt, where you go around the world, the treasure map kind of thing. Then you could do the Gilgamesh stuff. Gilgamesh fight, I loved all that Gilgamesh shit, dude. You go to his island.
Mm-hmm.
And you fight all the summons, like the two summons at a time, dude. Really fun challenge, really cool.
That shit was
Odin
crazy,
one's
dude.
fucking.
I was like, you mean I had to fight Odin and Alexander? Are you fucking kidding me?
Then he does like Zantetsuken, dude. It's like fuck. Yeah. It's so good, and the fight with Gilgamesh is really cool. Actually, he's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys haven't done that, I highly recommend doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And after you beat him, dude, he goes back through to another world, dude. And like I said, he talks about the Warriors of Light earlier on. So that's a nice nod to Final Fantasy in general.
And you get the Genji armor, you know?
Yeah, the Genji armor, dude. Classic
Final
shit.
Fantasy equipment.
I didn't do any of this shit.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's dude,
you can go back and do it.
I would like to go back. It was at the point where I was a month into playing this game, and I knew that we wanted to do Spoilercast. I'm like, this stuff sounds cool, but I was getting, dude, the spoilers at this point. I felt like I was like, man, I've done so well dodging at this point that I just want to go.
Yeah, and you're on a PlayStation podcast, so you were like really in the line of fire.
That's
true.
true.
Definitely.
That's true. Yeah.
It's really easy to replay chapters, Dustin, so you can do it whenever you want.
Chapter
so
13,
nice,
chapter. This is the chapter 13 where you would everything unlocks. So this is where you do everything. So
yeah, you like go back to Junon region, and the 7th Infantry's there again, and you meet them, but they know who you are and stuff like that. Now they know you're part of Avalanche, but they still love you. So I definitely hope they do show up on the High Wind.
This sounds really cool. Yeah. It's honestly kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead now.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's a little frustrating that you're building up to this climax that everyone wants to know what happens. And then that's the moment where they say, hey, we're going to open up and give you tons of shit to do now. That's awesome, but not required for the end. So it's like, well, you can, which they make, like you said, they make it easy to go back. But I think that even if I wasn't feeling like I was kind of slogging too long in the same game, I think I still would have done the same thing where it's like, at this point, I gotta know what happens. It's like if you're reading a giant book and then before the last 3 chapters, they're like, hey, do you want to read 3 side stories? It's like, no, I want to know what happens at this point.
That's true.
I went straight to the end because I just didn't want to risk like ruining that for myself. Not like spoiler wise, just, you know, there is that truth that, oh man, I've done like 40 more hours of side content. Time to wrap up this very time sensitive feeling storyline. I just like that's why I just decided, I made the mental note, like I always go back to these games. I went back to Remake, like I'm gonna go back to Rebirth. I'm gonna do this side content. Like, you know, I really just want to finish this one. I think I was at 60 hours at that point. Like I'd seen a lot of the side content. I felt pretty comfortable with where I was at, you know, moving on to the finale. But again, that was with the mindset of knowing I'll come back, especially with so much there. It's like, I'm just going to wait for like a rainy day. It's got a lot of content to burn through, nothing to really play that's urgent. And I'll just burn through the rest of Rebirth. And that'll be it.
Did you guys do all the Mog houses?
I didn't do all of that.
Not
actually.
all of them.
No.
Oh, the reward, guys. Dude.
Oh, what do you get for the reward?
Dude, you fucking do it all. And you're in there, and Cloud gets turned into a Moogle. And he has a fucking headband on that says Cloud, and he's going Kupo, and he has like a little Buster sword and shit.
Oh man, okay.
And he like learns to fly in there, and it's really awesome, dude. You guys should watch the cutscene; it's fucking great.
Okay, all right, I gotta finish that.
Yeah, he has like a tiny little Buster sword. It's adorable, man.
That's
it's
crazy.
so good.
That's dope.
Yeah, and there's also like the side quest with the Shinra employee who you kind of see throughout the game too. It was in the first game at Gold Saucer, and you gotta like beat all of his high scores. Loved all that shit. We brought the Frog Fall guys. That was so good, dude. Love the Frog Fall guys.
Yeah, that was good.
And the Chocobo Billy and like the Choco Sage. Like, did you guys do the Chocobo races?
I didn't finish.
Please tell me you guys did the Chocobo races.
I did a little bit of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
indulged a little bit, but like at a certain point, because when they give you the boat and then an abundance of side content, I'm just like, and there was. I realized at that point, I was like, there was something I missed from the first area of the game. I was like, oh fuck me. I was like, I'll be here forever if I do all of this. I know myself. There's some Queen's Blood matches. I skipped a couple in Corel because I was just I'm Barrett's cooking right now, man. Like I can't stop to play Queen's Blood. But I did all of them in like Costa del Sol, so I felt like I got my fill in certain areas of the game. So yeah, I did a little bit of the Chocobo racing. Like it just goes back to like what I was saying with like how much this game does, and
so much.
It's just it's extremely impressive. It really is. Like it's I like a lot of people were celebrating Jedi Survivor, and like I love that game a lot, but it did come out broken, to be fair. And like you were like, wow, this was made in 4 years. Isn't that impressive? But I don't feel like I'm seeing that same energy for a game that did that and like came out in the state it did. And I get it, like it's one console, so maybe people are like, oh, of course it's easier, but like for how much is here, it's insane.
Still, yeah. Dudes, yeah, you guys, so if you did win the Chocobo, the gold match against that guy in the black hat, that fucker who was in the original game, I love that guy. But it's cool, you get like different rewards, like Chocobo outfits for your Chocobo and stuff. They have stats and all that stuff. But when you win it, you get Chocobo, you get like the full conclusion of Chocobo Billy's backstory. You know, it all started with the Chocobo Sage, and they were talking about how Chocobo Billy's parents and Chocobo Sam, or his dad and Sam, had like, they were both students of the Sage, and they had different philosophies on Chocobos. Then finally, once you win the race against Chocobo Sam's guy, he tells you like the true story of how like Chocobos or Billy's parents got into like debt. They were trying to save Chocobos out in the wild and all that stuff. So you get like a payoff with Billy and all that good stuff. And so I really appreciated that. It's a long side quest, but I think it was worth it to get that extra context for him. So brought a nice close to his storyline. So shout out. And I just fucking love the Chocobo races. I hope they're back in part 3. They better be back, because I need that. Then, boys, we get to chapter 13. Heading to the Temple of the Ancients now. Now we're getting real crazy. Lots of story stuff kicking off. Fighting against Shinra, the Turks. They're going through the temple at the same time. You're going through this temple, and it's like you can like rotate the whole thing, so you're upside down, a bunch of that crazy shit.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about this? I think the temple itself dragged on a little too long.
Yeah.
Especially when you like split up and you're playing as Aerith and all that stuff, manipulating. I like doing the variety, like the puzzle kind of stuff, but I just think it was too long overall. That was the one
think
spot
we could have just had just like the Aerith part and like one regular part with the party, and that's it. You know, obviously we definitely need the Aerith part because you know that's how this game is. Every part is going to be there, and it makes sense for the last part to be Aerith's. You know, so I love that. I did like the sequence where everybody was going into different doors and facing their greatest fears.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little redundant for some of the characters, like with Barret. It's like, oh, we just went through his shit, you know. It was cool with Red.
Aerith, oh my god, dude, that was brutal. Getting like experimented on.
Reds was infuriating. Aerith was fucking heartbreaking.
Oh my
Tifa,
god,
again. Tifa again. We just kind of went through what she went through, so it's like okay, whatever. And then Yuffie, it's like okay, I don't give a shit about Nero or what's the case. I don't give a shit about Yuffie's story. I'm sorry, you know.
Yeah. Part 3.
Part three. We'll wait there. But that whole part was kind of okay, but half of it was okay, half of it wasn't. I really loved the speech Aerith gives at the end. This is when Brianna White's voice acting just gets like really, really strong. Yeah, and this is where you see the brilliance of her voice acting, where she's trying to be light. She's talking a little bit with an upspeak like this, you know, which is when things are just a little bit regular. But then when she's gonna be real serious and she's got to talk to the whole party and like shit's about to go down, then she'll tell you like, "Oh, Sephiroth is wrong. He's doing this. We got to do this." Really inspiring. And then Cloud goes, "Are you done yet?" And you just like, "Holy
he's totally losing it at this point."
Demeanor during that
shit! I want to punch you, Cloud. Wow.
Yeah, he's like losing it. It's so crazy.
Rito's was crazy, here, but yeah, everything else was really long though. But yeah,
you fight the Turks again. Rito's here, so it's good to see him back. He was pretty vacant the whole game, but
that's true.
We all love Reno, so it was nice to see him. There's a cool little fight with like one of the big Iron Giant guys with like the huge swords. I always appreciated those. Love to see those guys back again.
Always need an Iron Giant in Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Fucking Sung's here and he gets stabbed by Sephiroth, just like the original dude. So he's fucking bleeding out, but he gets out and the Turks are kind of in a bad situation. And Vincent comes back and says like a death does not suit a Turk. So I guess he saves them, helps them get out of there, which is cool because we all know Vincent, former Turk. But then, yeah, we kind of, as you're going through the temple, you kind of get like a lore dump about the Cetra and the humans, how they fought each other, where the humans like feared the Cetras, they fought them. Then Jenova coming to the planet, crash landing on it, and just like fucking everything up. And they beat her, but it didn't kill her. She was just sent to a sleep. So it was really nice just getting more of that kind of stuff. Because Jenova, I think, is so fascinating. Just like this space alien that crashed on the planet, just terrorizing it for centuries and all that stuff. And you learn about the Gi and all that kind of stuff too, a little more there. So it's all really great. And they talk about the black materia. But then we get to the black materia. And of course, during all this, Cloud is just kind of slipping more and more and more, getting more aggressive and impatient with everything. And we get the black materia and Cloud just really loses it. He starts going crazy. And this is the Kate Sith sacrifice, dude, where the temple starts breaking apart and he just fucking gets destroyed. And it's just like, oh, there's another robot. Okay, whatever. No big deal. It's totally cool. But yeah, when they're outside, Cloud has the materia and Sephiroth pops up and Cloud, let's see, he tries to get the materia, gets the black materia. Let's see. They meet outside. Sephiroth gets the black materia and gives it to Cloud. So he hands it to Cloud. Aerith takes it and runs. And Cloud chases her. He's kind of like losing. He's like, Aerith, like chasing her.
Oh yeah, it's like very Shining-esque, like Jack Nicholson moment, you know?
Yeah. And Cloud gets it back and gives it to Sephiroth. And then he kind of like breaks free of control. Then him and Aerith fall down into like that black pit. Then we go to chapter 14, guys. There's a lot that happens in chapter 14. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Shinra, they're all bouncing out, dude. Hojo's loving all this, the chopper, dude. It's all science to him, so he's having a damn good time. We get the flashback to Zack. So Zack deciding between Shinra HQ and Sector 6. He chooses Shinra HQ because he wants to save Cloud. He wants to get Cloud in order to save Aerith, but then Cloud wakes up wakes up in a different timeline, like in the wheelchair. He wakes up there, and Aerith is also there talking to him. And they say it's like think of it as kind of like a dream where they are. They're like in a different separate timeline. So once again, Cloud is kind of like in these forms of being unconscious, is going in between these different realities of Clouds in different realities, I would say. Mm-hmm. So he's holding this whole homeworld in it. My understanding of this is like there's a bunch of parallel universes or different worlds out there, and some of them end very quickly than others. And Sephiroth talks about this later, and it seems like everything in this world, like they're like on a kind of date, if you guys remember, and she's like, you have to pick some stuff for gifts for Aerith, and if you pick a certain thing, one of the people will be like, why don't you actually pick this one? So it's all very much lining up and kind of like a scenario that I think Aerith would want. I'm not exactly sure, though. What did you guys think about this whole fucking crazy, like, dream date going on?
I can...
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Gene.
This is going to sound like pure cope because I have a bias against multiverse stories. Mm-hmm. This is a huge cope because a big part of me does not want Final Fantasy VII to turn into a multiverse story, right?
Right.
So the way I interpret all of this is that I am literally taking what Aerith says, let's just call it a dream, and taking that interpretation and making that the foundation of how I'm understanding all the quote unquote timeline and multiverse shenanigans at the end of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Mm-hmm. What I'm seeing is not really multiverses, but like dreams and hopes like being realized within the live stream, and then Aerith and Cloud are both able to kind of inhabit their own bodies within like what are basically like dead dreams and hopes, which is why like that explains like why different worlds will expire quickly. And that's why you always see like when Zack picks to go Cloud, you see the rainbow happen on the other side, because that's like the other world kind of reappearing and disappearing. So like for me, like I just interpret that as like Zack's wish to stay alive is so powerful that it's being realized within the live stream, and that's why you can like hide out in it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's true, that's why like Aerith is like constructing this dream date of hers as well, because it's kind of like a wish and hope, you know.
Yeah,
so I feel like the live stream, because the writers are just making the live stream basically do whatever the fuck they want, right?
Yeah.
So like it could be multiverses, it could just be hopes and dreams that are just being physically realized within the live stream. I don't know, but that's how I'm taking Sephiroth saying like these are different worlds, and Aerith calling it different dreams, and that's how I'm saying, okay, well, that's why there are no multiverse timelines. There is only one timeline, which is the original Final Fantasy VII story, which is why so much of this game is pretty much the original Final Fantasy VII story, and they stick basically through it, you know. That's my theory. That's my entire theory craft, basically.
Cloud asks Aerith when they get there if they're dead. And Aerith says, call it a homecoming, or maybe homeward bound. Let's just call it a dream. My dream, to be precise.
Yeah, my dream, to be precise. Exactly.
Yeah. And she says, don't look up.
You see all the people in the timeline, all the people surviving in the timeline are only people that Aerith knows, you know? Biggs knows Aerith because of their connection to the orphanage. There's Johnny, there's Sephiroth, there's Zack, you know? And there's only Midgar, you know?
Yeah. She says don't look up, and we learn more about that later when there's like that huge tear through the sky that only Cloud can seemingly see at the end of the game.
And that's kind of connected to the new ending that they made or line that they made for Remake, right? They changed the final line. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's why they did.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dustin.
This ending, well, I guess in general, and specifically talking about this part where there's, Zack's making these two decisions, and then later you see him act out like they're fighting with Biggs and stuff. What's so interesting about this ending is that I went and watched some YouTube videos, and I read some like Reddit threads and comments and stuff. None of them have any kind of consistent idea about what is actually happening like in this ending, because I would almost argue that it is frustratingly vague in a lot of ways. and Gene, I actually really like your explanation because I feel like that's the cleanest and what makes most sense with what we've seen with the remake project so far is that it kind of it plays with your emotions, both games, multiple times about changing things. It seems like things are changed or are going to change, and then they end up not really changing much at all in terms of like, okay, well, at this point in the story, there's some weird shit that happened in between, but we're still at this point in the story, and things are the same. And even too, not to jump ahead to the very, very end where they're, kind of dealing with Aerith's death, but Cloud can see Aerith, and they have that conversation. And at this point, they've built up Cloud as this unreliable narrator to such a degree that I saw threads. They're like, well, Cloud can see her because they have this connection since they were in this other timeline. Like all these different copium things about how, Aerith is still alive in a different timeline, and that's how it might work out. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know. Based on,
I think she's super dead, guys. In every timeline.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Like, I think she's super. I would say overall, Cloud, she's super dead, and Cloud, made up he stole someone's entire backstory and planted it on himself and has been living that way. Why is it such a stretch that he is also having copium about her death? And maybe there is some kind of thing where there are like live stream Aerith is connected to him, really, but it's not like, oh, this is another universe Aerith or something. I don't know, man. Like I said, frustratingly vague, but at the same time, we end up at the same point at the end.
Yeah. I think when everything's said and done, this whole trilogy, I think it'll be exactly where we left off the original game.
Yeah, I think that's what it is too.
Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
My theory kind of, I mean, I guess it gets it at end, but it starts off with like, again, I kind of started to craft this thing with chapter 9 and what happened with Tifa and the White Whispers and then the Dark Whispers. And I'm like, okay, well, we know there's like 2 timelines here with Zack alive and then Zack not alive. And I'm like, okay, what I'm kind of gathering here is, and this could be totally wrong, totally off base, but like what I gather by the end of the game is I'm like, oh, okay, we have like this timeline where like Aerith is trying to steer things, and then we have this timeline where I think Sephiroth's trying to steer things. Like in particular, you know, again, I'm sorry for cutting to the end, but you have that final scene where like Cloud's talking to Aerith, or this spirit of Aerith, and then he kind of pulls out the dark materia, the black materia, and he kind of starts showing Sephiroth tendencies briefly, and I'm like, I'm wondering, because they use a lot of this screen static, and I'm wondering if that's something symbolizing like when the timelines are or when you're watching like a different universe. And I'm like, is there one timeline where like basically Cloud's going to do Sephiroth's bidding, and then there's a timeline where like it's kind of the original, like, hey, this is Cloud has lost Aerith and he has to kind of learn how to deal with that. And so I'm with Dustin in that I feel like there was a lot, it was kind of frustrating like how much it was flipping around, how vague it really was at certain points. But that's kind of like what the theory I ended up concluding with. And I guess my problem with it is I thought Remake's ending was such a masterpiece, and you knew where they were going with it. And with Rebirth, I get it, it's like the middle arc of the story, so there's only so many places they can go. But with it ending in a spot that felt so, oh, there's multiple things going on, but also this is very familiar. You don't have that same, I don't have at least that same level of like, oh man, what's going to happen next? Because I'm like, should I expect just a traditional remake of the last arc? Like, is that where we're going? So yeah, it kind of set my head for a spin. And I didn't really walk away feeling very certain of anything, or at least with Remake, I walked away certain, going like, yeah, they're going to change shit. And then they don't change anything. I was just like,
I will say I'm with Manny in that I'm not as like, I'm obviously super excited for Remake 3, but like I'm not chomping at the bit to happen to figure out what happens at the end of Remake 3.
Yeah,
like,
I almost feel like
I feel like it's just going to be the same thing, you know? I'm sorry, Manny, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think it was almost a mildly like a moment missed there where I don't even think it comes down to Aerith's death. It's clear that they're setting up part 3, but now like I went from like, it was the pressure to deliver on, okay, you have to justify now why you're making these changes. And I almost don't feel like that was answered with how Remake ended in some instances, because I was like, okay, your answer to changing things is to change nothing outside of Zack. Zack's like the biggest standing question mark right now, where Dustin said earlier, I'm like, I don't know when the fuck this guy is. Like, I don't know if he's in his own timeline. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle Zack in game 3. Like, to me, that's the biggest part, because I thought Zack was going to be a big part of game 2. And he's there for the finale in a big way, but I thought he was going to like be a playable character throughout very often.
The title screen, come on, man. He's on the cover of the fucking box, right?
Yeah. So like now I'm like, okay, part 3 should be a lot of Zack. And I would have understood if he wasn't playable and so he wasn't ready, so they had to make concessions, but he was ready. So yeah, it's just, I'm rambling now. I apologize. But yeah, it left me with like a lot of question marks in ways I didn't really anticipate for this game once it wrapped up. And a couple of theories, but not like as strong and sound as they were with the first one. But with all that said, I will just say I didn't think it was a bad ending. I thought it was a great ending. Just I feel very confused and probably not the best way. Like, I don't think it's great when I finish a game. My first thought is like, I need to know what someone on YouTube saying who's much smarter than me and can guide me through this. Like, I don't think that's a good sign usually.
Yeah. I have 2 questions I wanted to ask you guys. One about Aerith's deaths. I guess we'll start with that one. I'm curious how you guys feel, and particularly, I guess you're all 3 fans of the OG, but I know both Gene and Brad, it's very, very dear to you. I was kind of conflicted about how they dealt with this death part, because I feel like we've been saying over and over about how these 2 games have played with you in many ways. I was kind of feeling like they were taking it a little too far and too sudden, where there's the moment where they want you to hit the triggers so you can slash and kill Aerith, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that. and then you don't do it, and then there's the moment where it's like
that's the resist.
Yeah, that's the
that's the resist. I thought it was like press this down.
You didn't press it at all. That's funny.
I just didn't press shit. Okay, so I totally. Either way, the point stands. There's something going on here, and then they make it look like you save her for a minute, and then it's like, oh no, you didn't, and then it's showing Cloud holding her, and then I think there's like one shot that shows her where he's just holding her, but then there's one with blood, and you're like, what the fuck is happening right now? This is the most pivotal moment, that the question that everyone wanted to know about this game, and they are whipping you around.
Yeah.
And
so
they are.
I mean, my interpretation of that is, so the whole thing is about these worlds merging and stuff like that. That is the worlds merging in real time. Cloud manages, the Whispers are trying to get Cloud to murder her with raising the sword. He stops Sephiroth. Sephiroth merges a different world at the same time. It doesn't matter if he fucked up. He manages to get a different scenario from a different world at that point. That's why you see the blood from one world and it transfers over to the other world and there's no blood, but she's still dead. So it's him controlling both at the same time, blending them together. The whole point of what they're talking about is worlds colliding. And that's like a big thing that Sephiroth wants in all of this.
Yeah. You see his mouth moving too. He's mouthing the words that he said in the original, where it's like Aerith will never cry, Aerith will never laugh again. You know, which is a little corny. I was a little disappointed they didn't put that in. And then when I thought about it, I was like, maybe
they'll show that in part 3.
You know?
They'll show in part 3 when Cloud like really realizes that Aerith's dead and like that he actually buried her in the water. Because they don't show that scene, but they show the aftermath. Don't show it.
I think you're right that they're going to show the water burial.
Yeah, they'll show it in part 3 when Cloud.
That's going to be part of the reward for Cloud. Like finding himself, basically.
Yes.
And then we finally get that closure. You know.
Yeah.
When Cloud gets his closure, so that's why I love this ending, because for me the real plot twist and the real story of Final Fantasy VII isn't Aerith dying. It's this man's like fragile mental state. Like this man is clearly insane, you know. And that's why I've compared Final Fantasy to Fight Club. You know, Jack and Cloud have a lot in common. These are two very delusional people who are projecting themselves in very unhealthy ways. You know, so that's why I thought ending Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with Cloud clearly looking like an insane loser was actually the most interesting and bravest way to end the game. So that's why I love this game. That's why I love this ending.
Let's cut back quickly to the dream thing that we were talking about earlier. So during this, Sephiroth says to Aerith, he says, so this is where you've been hiding, a world that it's accepted its fate. So she is trying to hide them in a different area, but that world does not have long that they're in, and she knows that. I guess that's what she's calling it, a dream, essentially. Then you get the whole thing with Biggs and all that stuff and the different outcomes with Zack. So I guess those are two separate different scenarios they're showing you, like two different worlds where Zack went one way and the other. So it ties in all of that.
Different
then
chips.
We get,
so this is actually like our fifth, if we're going by timelines, then that's basically our fifth timeline we have.
Yes.
You know?
So then Zack appears out front of the church now. Then Sephiroth walks up to the church and he says... Zack says to Sephiroth, you want a piece of me? And Sephiroth says, no, not you. Then he sends Zack into that weird void area in between worlds, like struggling in the dark and all that kind of stuff. Then a light shines in there and it shoots all these whispers away. And I believe there's flowers falling that are the yellow flowers, Aerith's flowers, essentially. So I guess that's Aerith helping Zack in some way. Some sort of thing from the live stream. I don't know exactly how, but she's definitely helping him, because later on after a fight, he gets healed and he says Aerith. So she's definitely helping him in some way in a different area. But then Cloud and Aerith talk in the church. Cloud has no idea what the fuck's going on. Aerith says to him, whatever happens, don't blame yourself. So this is a huge plot line, especially for Advent Children.
Advent Children, I love that
is
part,
Cloud dealing with the guilt of Aerith dying and him thinking it's his fault. And that's a whole big part of Advent Children, him kind of running away from all of his problems like that. But then she also gives Cloud her holy materia. So it's white right now, and he says, but your mom gave this to you. She says, this isn't about me, though. It's about saving the world and you. And she pushes Cloud through the portal, and we see, as Cloud's falling through, we see Sephiroth walking in through the door of the church.
That part freaked me out, bro. freak me out.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit! Is it going to happen now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's probably killing her in that world. He's killing her in many worlds, I'm guessing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're in like the edge of reality kind of thing. Like they were remake one part ended, you know, the 7 seconds. What will you do? He like says a little more of it this time. So you get a little more of that.
I do like the joke of how every soldier boy who walks into that church ends up falling in love with Aerith. So that is that scene is Sephiroth's turn. Like he just walks in and he's like, oh fuck, I love Aerith. I love Aerith so much.
And when they're here, Sephiroth says, when the boundaries of fate are breached, new worlds are born. The planet encompasses a multitude of worlds, ever unfolding. Some quickly perish while others endure. And Sephiroth wants to defy destiny with Cloud. He says like, join me, Cloud. Defy destiny together. Total Darth Vader vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Cloud gets warped to the ancient forest. He's getting carried by Barret and everyone like that towards the ancient city, and because they were recovered earlier on, they showed that, but Cloud was still unconscious for a lot of it. But now he's finally up. So
everyone gets their own one-on-one talk with Cloud, right? In that walk.
Yeah,
that was cool. I like that part.
Yeah. Cloud gets
more
ancient
replay,
forest,
but you know it's a good part though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Aerith here tells Cloud to focus on himself. Focus on you, Cloud. The one I've been trying to find, the real you. So she's been trying to find this very specific Cloud, I guess. This whole thing.
That line is also from Aerith. That line is also from Aerith's date as well, too.
Yes,
because Aerith will tell you, "I've been trying to find the real you." You know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Aerith takes the holy materia back, puts it back in her hair. She then gives it back to Cloud. There's like a little glow effect, and now it's clear instead of white now. So that's used somehow like that. And yeah, then they do the whole thing of them going to the capital. They tracked her down, forgotten capital. Vincent is already there. He's just like sitting, waiting for them. It's pretty sick.
Looking super edgy, just posing like he's in a different game, you know?
Yeah. So she's praying at this place, and as they're about to go in there, Sephiroth shows up in the sky. He's flying, dude, looking all crazy. He says the reunion is here when worlds merge. Then the White Whispers attack the group, which is interesting because they're usually on your side throughout the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So Sephiroth must have won something in the live stream or control of something now. And
no, I think they're stopping it because Aerith is supposed to die.
That's probably it. They're probably trying to stop them.
She's gonna die, guys. You know.
Yeah, that's a good point, Gene. I do like that. And we get then we do the whole thing about Aerith's death. We talked about the stab, the flashes. He stops it. The Whispers try to stop him from stopping Sephiroth. Because like in the original, he holds up the sword to kill her, but then Sephiroth does it. But now he's holding up the sword. The Whispers are trying to get him to hold up the sword to redo that moment for the original game. Not to block Sephiroth, but Cloud kind of breaks through and does the block thing.
See, this is why I think we're just watching the original story again. Because just now, in the original game, we just couldn't see the Whispers. Now we can. That's it. I think that's the only difference.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I think the original game is happening right before our very eyes. We're just seeing things a little bit clearer now. You know,
it's really interesting just because I guess during Remake, before we played any of this game, there was this idea of like, is defeated Sephiroth from the original figuring out a way, like he somehow is still living in the live stream or something. Like, is he trying to figure out a way to remake what was already happened? So that theory of like, hey, no, we're just showing you more that you couldn't see in the original. It's kind of disappointing in a way.
I think that's still the case, though. I think Sephiroth knows something more. And
I
Aerith
do think that's
know
more.
At least. Yeah.
I think Aerith knew more. She's losing her memory slowly every time the Whispers interacted with her. She was losing more memories.
Well, isn't there
that's why her
holy
material was
materia?
empty, because the Whispers interacted with her in a way that took away Holy or whatever. So that's why she had to figure out some fucking way to like relay past Holy back to her, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
And that was her jumping from different worlds or timelines or whatever was her way to do it. So I don't know. Fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so tough. Like, there's like there are so many different.
I sound like an insane person saying this shit, but
yeah, I know, dude. Yeah, it's fucking wild. As Aerith's dying, she tells Cloud it's okay, and I think then she like closes her eyes, and Sephiroth calls Cloud a puppet. Then Jenova shows up, and you get the
classic
Jenova fight.
line, puppet.
Yeah, you're a puppet. They fight Jenova. Then we start to see the worlds kind of merge more. And this is when Cloud gets separated from the group. And then Zack comes in. He merges with Cloud's world. Yes, dude. Zack and Cloud back to back. So awesome, dude. I thought that was going to be something they did for part 3. I didn't think they'd do it for part 2.
I'm surprised that they blew their load on this game. Which is
why,
again, why does Zack control so good? And this is only the second time we're fucking controlling him, and it's the end of the game. It's insane.
It's interesting.
I really thought that a post-game reward was that we get to walk around with Zack, and then we get to play as Zack. Like, with no context, story context. It's just Zack in this world,
To me,
Cloud is crazy, so he sees himself as Zack.
The load is still firmly slotted, if you will, Gene. Like, I don't think it's been blown yet, and I say that because to me the load is the conversation, right?
Sure.
I feel like Zack and Cloud haven't had that talk. And then really the one I'm interested in is Zack and Aerith. After all this time, that's another thing I was really hanging on for. You know, again, I love Crisis Core. You see where it all begins, and you see the impact he's had on her throughout Remake and Rebirth. And so I was really holding out hope that
you're right.
They would have that talk. And I'm like, to me, that's what I'm waiting for. So that's why I'm not judging this ending too hard. Like, I've seen a lot of takes online during the review period. Like, yeah, man, this ending, I don't know. I don't like it, but I'm like, I don't think you can fully judge it because we are in the middle arc, and I shouldn't say fully judge. You can judge it, but like, I think a lot of this is our feelings on this is going to be determined by how the next part ends, and because now there's no more room to like push things back and be like, when are they going to do this? It's like you got to do the rest here now. Like, you have to have that Zack interaction with the party at some point. In what way that comes, I don't know, but like you have to have it then, and then I'd be able to size up like. Rebirth was a wasted opportunity, or Rebirth used all of its screen time perfectly by that point. So that's why I don't judge certain decisions they made yet too harsh. But yeah, I'm still optimistic on how they're going to use Zack in Game 3, and that what they did with Game 2 with like the back-to-back was just enough in that regard.
Yeah. You gotta save it all for like the end, the big shit. Gotta save all that stuff. But this is when I thought it was interesting. After you fight Sephiroth with like Cloud and Zack, they get split up again. Sephiroth separates them into different worlds. Then you get Sephiroth Reborn, which is like the first phase of Sephiroth in the original game, like the final first phase of him, where it's like the whole party is fighting him, not like the god form later on with One Winged Angel. So I was really stoked to see that. Actually, I was like, oh shit, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah,
and everyone's fighting like that thing in a different area. Like Cloud's fighting one, Zack's fighting one, and the rest of the group is fighting one at the same time. So it was really great getting to switch between them all the time.
I think the fight was like one round too long. The second wing fight, we couldn't, we didn't need to use. Again, like this game going just like one section, just a little too long. The fight was great. I love the fight. Every level of it was great. But I think there was one part where it's just like, okay, you're just kind of repeating the last part.
Then after all that, it's Cloud and Sephiroth 1-on-1. Then Aerith comes through like a fucking light gate.
Like fucking T'Challa at the end
was
end
I the
game.
only one who thought at this point, like, oh, she's going to live? Like
I didn't know what the fuck was happening at this point. I was like, what?
That's fair.
I was like, wait. I was like, oh, is she from another? Is this like a different world, Aerith? Or I'm like, or is she like mastermind from the live stream right here, kind of thing? I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. Like, no one's exactly sure what's going on. All we can do is speculate. But I don't think she had. They show like a shot of her walking in her ribbon in her hair, and there's no holy in there. So I thought that was interesting. And after the fight, Zack is taken somewhere else. He goes like, "See ya," and he's like brought through the light. And I was like, "Dude, Zack's the best." Yeah, Zack's
I love
the best,
Zack. He sounds like fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. Smell you later, everyone.
Yeah. Then it finally flashes. Like Sephiroth leaves after the fight. He starts laughing because he knows it's not over. Aerith says. Then we flash to the actual, I guess, our timeline. Aerith is dead. Everyone's kind of surrounding her body. and Cloud's like holding her like she's actually dead. So she's dead at that point, but then Cloud can see Aerith later on when no one else can see him. So that's all fucked up. And Cloud is the only one that can see the sky all fucked up also, and no one else can see that, which is wild.
I love the moment when Cloud says, "Yep, time to move," like nonchalantly, and then Tifa like exhales, like, "Oh fuck, dude, my boyfriend is fucking crazy right now."
Yeah. I haven't looked at anyone's theories about this game, but I did hear one just because it's a wild one, and someone brought it up to me. Is that because at the end when Cloud, they're all sitting there by the water, Aerith is there next to Cloud, and you hear it sounds like a mix of Genova's theme and Aerith's theme at the same time at that spot, because Aerith is acting kind of weird during all these sections now. She doesn't seem like normal Aerith. So I don't know if she is Jenova, because they really emphasize the whole game that Jenova could like take on the appearance of dead ones, dead loved ones, and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's Jenova fucking with Cloud, or if it's Aerith actually from another timeline. I'm not really sure, but it could be either. I wouldn't be surprised if any of that shit happened.
That's what Maximilian Dude actually kind of theorized.
Okay, was it Max that came up with that?
It was Max that was his theory as soon as he beat the game. He's kind of walked that back now.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Honestly, the way you explain it actually kind of makes it a little bit more sense. I mean, they were kind of foreshadowing like that Jenova could be anybody, you know.
I don't know if that's
she does act weird. Like it's weird that she says, "I'm gonna stop Meteor." Like she never says that in the original, you know. She never just straight up says like, "Oh, this is gonna be the end of the game, and I'm gonna make the ending of the Final Fantasy game happen."
I don't know if I just didn't know if I was looking into it too much. Her just personality and her mannerisms didn't seem like Aerith. I'm like, well, maybe she's just because she's a fucking ghost, Brad. She's dead. Like it, it's just different. But
maybe
I have
Cloud's
no idea.
Insane, yeah.
Maybe Cloud's just fucking nuts. I'm sure. He is nuts, but yeah, man. And they kind of bury it. Like everyone's bummed out, especially Tifa. Tifa's taking it extra hard, dude. It's really sad, dude. There's this one shot where Red is sitting with Tifa on the field near the plane, and she's crying. And Red's sitting with her, very sad. And Aerith like touches Red. And Red goes, Aerith or whatever. Like he senses her, dude. I was just like, God damn, dude. That's fucking sad, man.
Yeah.
It's brutal, dude. But everyone's pretty sad. Cloud acting like nothing's wrong, you know. He doesn't think Aerith's dead. He has the empty holy materia. And he also has the black materia still. And he puts it in his sword. And like does this really cool effect on the sword.
We've never seen that effect before. What the fuck?
Yeah, it looked awesome, dude.
Yeah, that was like the most shocking thing in anything. I was like, "What the fuck is that?" You know?
Yeah, they say they're gonna head north. You know, the Cloud senses Sephiroth there, so I'm guessing Gene and everyone like I'm guessing Sephiroth's body is up there. I'm trying to remember in the original if it was up in the northern crater area where he like actually puts the black materia into the real Sephiroth's body. So I'm assuming that's gonna happen very early on. And everyone's taken off. Then Cloud actually talks to Aerith, and she says, "I'll put everything I've got into my prayers. I'll stop the meteor." And they take off, and the game ends with Aerith alone in the field, and it says, "No promises await at Journey's End." And that's how the game ends.
Yeah. And we're all fucking lost.
Crazy ending. Yeah, we're all like, "Whoa, dude, what's fucking happening?"
So here's how I feel about the ending, and I've told this story before. That the first time I played the original Final Fantasy VII was in '97, and I didn't play the American release. I played the Japanese version. So I spent 99 hours beating the entire game and didn't understand what the fuck was happening the entire game. So when Aerith died, I was just like, "Oh shit, I lost my healer. I can't believe I spent all that time grinding to unlock her fucking secret limit break." And then she fucking died. Like, it was insane. I was like, holy shit. You know? So what Rebirth did for me is make me fall in love with Aerith, finally, for the first time, as a real character. Because, you know, there's so many quirky attitudes about her. And then, like, the fucking song, No Promises to Keep, it was beautiful. The sentiment about her telling Cloud not to worry about it and don't blame himself. And their final goodbye sequence. Like, all of that added up to the final gut punch of Aerith saying goodbye to everybody alone in that field. And I was like, wow, they actually did it. They actually made me care about Aerith after all this time. after 28 years or whatever, where I didn't care about Aerith at all. I finally played through the story of Final Fantasy VII, the original story, which basically they stuck through it, right? And I was like, I'm super sad about Aerith dying. I feel the void in my heart, and I never felt that before until Rebirth. So that's why I love Rebirth so much.
I quickly skipped over this stuff. I missed this. Before the game ends, we also get a shot of Rufus talking to Glenn. And Rufus says, like, I know what your game is. He says, this war is nothing but a ploy to distract him, Rufus, from Sephiroth. Glenn pretty much acknowledges that's true. And then it flashes like Sephiroth as Glenn the whole time. And it's Sephiroth's been working through Glenn this entire time. And Rufus gets pissed and shoots Glenn again. And it's actually just another black robed guy. So that ties into the thing of Jenova being able to manipulate people who are dead, all that stuff. Because they do the flashback earlier of Rufus shooting Glenn. So that happened sometime in the past. So I guess it was Jenova the whole time, not actually Glenn. So it's all fucked. And Zack wakes up in a church in another timeline. And he's kind of like, I'll find them again, essentially. I'll connect them somehow again. But yeah. Dustin, let me hear from you, man. What's going on, dude?
Yeah, I'm it's funny just because it's been what almost a week and a half, 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks since I beat the game, and I kind of let it settle in my mind since then, and now I'm just like brain fried now that we're all going through all of it again. And there's even stuff too that I'm trying to remember if you mentioned this in the last part when you see the sky. Yeah, and Cloud can see the crack. It's like
only he can see it. Yeah, he's like, "Don't look up," and everyone looks up, and it's just normal. They're like, "What the fuck?"
The thing that's really sticking out to me right now is at the end of Remake, the ending. I guess it's not a title card, but the ending card says the unknown journey continues, right? And kind of saying, well. I feel like it's really a message from, Square Enix or Nomura to the audience. Like, hey, we're going to be ready. We're going to change things. And then this game does change some stuff, but not necessarily in the way that we thought. And then you had it written down, the ending title card of this.
No promises await at Journey's End.
Yeah, it feels like an even harsher way of saying what they said last time.
They're saying, get fucked. Don't expect anything.
So it's tough because I mentioned earlier that you kind of end up at the same points in both of these games at the end.
Some ways.
But there's so many factors added, so many unknown factors. And then with a much more ominous ending title, it's no promises await at Journey's End. It really has me questioning this third game now. And it's funny because I'm kind of in the same boat as Gene, where I initially didn't feel like I was like chomping at the bit to play the next game like I was at the end of Remake. But in thinking about this now, it's like it feels like a warning, no promises await at Journey's End.
It's the Empire Strikes Back, dude. It's a little somber ending, dude.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I'm very curious how much they're going to change. Again, I feel like we're asking kind of the same questions at the end that we have of Remake. That's like, oh man, there's so many possibilities, and we're kind of those same questions, still present in this next one, just with more possibilities, unlocked.
Matty, how you feeling? You talked about the ending a little bit, but how you feeling now?
Yeah, you know what it is? I was hearing us all talk about it a little bit there. I realized that I'm really thankful that this whole thing exists, not just because it's really good, but I don't think there's really any other series in gaming that gets people thinking like, what's next? I think about like there was a rare time during the MCU, which I know people shit on Marvel nowadays, but during the MCU, it's like, what's next? What movie's going to connect where? Like, how's it going to end? Like, what's going to happen in Endgame, Infinity War, all this shit.
It used to be exciting, Marvel. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a super exciting time, but it was also like it was like a window, right? Where it was like that was a special time. Sure. I feel like we're living that special time where it's like we don't know what's going to happen in the next part. And like we just went through 2/3 of that story. And I don't think, a lot of people are like, well, now Square Enix has to give this tribute to Final Fantasy 8 or 9, and I don't think they're going to do. I think the only game that has a chance of that is probably 10, because 10 is on that same level of like being equally iconic and meaningful for the series. Like, I think 9 is like, that's my favorite, but like I'm not going to trick myself and say like, oh well, because it's the series creator's favorite, he'll give it a 7-level remake. Like, there's a business sense behind it, and so we get to live through this time where I think when storytelling and writing and dialogue are at a low in AAA, we have this one series that's just making us fucking guess at every turn. Mm-hmm. Even if it's wild, it's got a little Nomura stink on it, as Dustin would say. I think it's wonderful that we're just kind of in the dark on like, okay, we know a lot, but we know a little at the same time. And so yeah, I love the game. I wish I wish there were some pacing changes so I could get a little more mileage out of it. I think I would have stuck with it a bit longer if maybe the main story was paced a touch differently, where, I wasn't so ready to move on once it was all done. And I feel like a lot of my stance on Rebirth is really going to hang on how they execute probably some of the initial marketing for whatever the third part is. It's like, just getting some answers and being like, okay, so what they did here had meaning and it felt purposeful. So it'll kind of fall into place to me over time, but I know for a fact I love this game, and I'm really excited for part 3.
Yeah.
And for fuck's sake, use Zack. Please use Zack, man.
I think they'll use Zack more, but
I don't think
my
mind.
I don't think he's going to like be a party member for a lot of the game.
I just want him to have his own party. That's what I'm thinking. Like, split 2 parties. Zack leads one, Cloud leads another. I don't know what.
Oh, you want some Final Fantasy 8 shit going on, dude? Like Laguna and his party?
Actually, yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that would be incredible.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I don't know who would be Zack's party, but
just have the
Johnny
same
and Biggs,
like have Zack fill the void for Cloud, something like that.
I mean, Zack's dead too. Remember?
Yeah, that's true. I guess so. Yeah, anything can fucking happen.
Remember, Zack dies in every timeline. He keeps getting shot at every single timeline.
He's in the church though. At least right now.
Maybe he makes a party member, like his party consists of the dead. So it's like him, Avalanche, Aerith. Like, that'd be kind of cool.
Arrow. Oh,
yeah,
Aerith.
Jesse. Yeah. You can get Jesse back.
He's playing.
Jesse. Oh my god, dude.
Crazy. I don't know. They could do that.
That's like too much. That's like way too much to like bring Jesse back,
Because I think what they want to do is bring everyone back so they can rip them away from you again. I feel like that's the ultimate heartache plan. At least that's how I kind of started to theorize it. And that's why I thought they were going to let Aerith live. Like, now that's subverted my expectations. Why I'm sitting here like a lost little puppy. I'm just like, fuck, I don't know anymore. Because I thought they'd let her live so they could just take her away, take Zack away, just fucking rip everyone away and be like, we got to die for things to go back to normal and to save this world. So, we'll see where they go with it in part 3, but I'm very much looking forward to that. And based on how Square Enix is cooking, we won't have to wait too long for that. We'll make it our first trailer in like 3 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, probably.
How did you guys feel when you initially saw Cloud block the sword and block it away, though? Because there is those few seconds where I thought, holy shit, he did it.
I thought he stopped. Yeah, there's twice. I was like, oh, she's going to live. She's going to live. That was one. And then, like I mentioned, the other where she came in like a beam of light. I'm like, she's like God. Like, okay, she's alive somehow. Maybe she's coming from another timeline, damn it. So, they got me pretty good.
Yeah,
I knew she was dead once he flashed the blood. I was like, oh, she's dead.
Yeah, it's over.
The blood was
dead. But then I just thought like, oh, they actually did it, and we're seeing it now. What the fuck's gonna happen? And then they kind of answered immediately for me. But I seriously thought like, holy shit, they actually changed it. We saved Aerith.
Yeah, that's like the whole game, that and like Remake kind of building that up. Maybe you can save her this time. Maybe you can.
The theme of the series is starting to approach me as you can't escape your fate. That includes everyone. I just feel like that's what's happening. It's like no one can escape their fate. Like Sephiroth is trying his best to, and that's kind of at the core of it all. But like Aerith can't not die. Zack can't live.
The tragedy is that Sephiroth will be a memory.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. That line, dude. I'll never be a memory.
It's a great line. It's a fucking fantastic line.
I hope you fight the Average Children guys. Like Kadaj and stuff. I hope they show up.
Because they kind of had those in Remake.
Not as like whispery forms, but like actual pretty boy Bishi Sephiroth forms.
I hope they're there, dude.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking awesome, dude.
Dude, that'd be so sick, dude. Hell yeah.
I want to ask you guys, name third game. What do you think it's going to be?
Man, I've been thinking about this so much. I got to hear from you guys first. I've been thinking about that so much. I don't have a good answer because I always keep thinking like, oh, reunion. Wait, they fucking used that.
Yeah, it's like they say reunion, they say homecoming a lot, stuff like that. And I'm like, are they just going to stick with the R's again? Yeah, return's like a very good one. I think that it could really be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of leaning towards return right now, but I don't know. I just wonder if it'll be the R again.
Return makes a lot of sense, but I feel like it's kind of boring.
It is boring.
Returnal.
It should be Revengeance. That's how you make the game.
Revengeance, dude.
Or just ditch the RE thing altogether and just call it Final Fantasy VII One Winged Angel.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
This is the real Sephiroth game, bitches.
Final Fantasy VII. Fuck Sephiroth.
I'm looking at words with the re in them.
There's not a lot that are good that would make us a good video game title for Final Fantasy VII.
Recreate, Rebirth. Isn't that kind of like
yes? Yeah, I'm running circles here.
I don't know, dude.
Resell.
Yeah, it's resell. Rebuy. Yeah.
Rebuy.
Rewrite.
Yeah, rewrite, remake.
It could be Final Fantasy VII Reprise, you know.
Reprise? Yeah, it could be Reprise. That sounds
like
very Square Enix word.
Type beat to put a number
like Kingdom Hearts musical type.
Yeah, is it going to be some fucking Latin word or some shit? Maybe. I don't know.
Refantasio.
Reaper.
Refantasio? Yeah. Oh my God. That'd be hilarious. That'd be awesome.
Requiem. Final Fantasy VII Requiem.
Requiem? Yeah, it could be Requiem. Yeah, Gene, that's a good one.
I like that one.
That could definitely be one. Yeah, man. I don't know. Part 3, hopefully 4 years away. It seems like they're just fucking on a roll right now. They're already working on part 3.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad Hamaguchi told me like, hey, we're definitely gonna have a high wind that you're gonna fly around.
Oh yeah, that's like they said that's like a big thing. Yeah, that was your interview. That's so cool.
That was my interview. I love Hamaguchi. He's like, no, this is the shit that has to be in Final Fantasy VII. You know?
Yeah, he knows what's up, dude. He knows.
Yeah, he absolutely knows. He's like, no, like this is a hard line. We have to do this.
Yeah, you got to get the high wind in there, and I really appreciate how hard they're trying to get that because that's got to be quite a hurdle to get going. Because High Wind's fucking huge, dude. It's not like a tiny little thing.
It's gonna be his own town, basically.
I know, dude.
I can't wait to walk around in it. You know,
I'm gonna throw out one more name here. Just dude. I kind of like the sound of it. Final Fantasy VII Remember.
Remember.
That's not that bad.
That's not bad, man.
We're talking about triangle strategy, Octopath. We can definitely put Remember at the end.
Remembrance. Yeah.
That's good, Maddie. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, thank firstcry.com. They have a website that's called Words That Start with RE for Kids to Improve Vocabulary. So they
Final Fantasy VII Rewind.
Rewind, dude. Yeah.
Remember fucking YouTube Rewind, man? I can't believe they just fucking killed that after that last terrible one.
Everyone made fun of it, dude.
I can't believe something was so bad. They're just like, we're not going to do this ever again.
I know, dude.
Final Fantasy VII 3.2 HD remix.
Whoa, yes.
How about that? Yeah.
Now you're talking
over 2 days.
Yeah, over 2 days.
Yeah.
over 2
days. Just let Nomura handle the naming. He'll cook up something that'll make no fucking sense.
He's got it.
I love the fucking developer interviews where like all the like Kitase and like everyone else is just like looking at the camera like a normal fucking person.
Nomura's like sideways and shit.
Nomura's being shot sideways. Half of his fucking his face is covered in shadow, and he's got his chin.
He is Noctis. Yeah, I love it, dude.
He's totally just he totally just wants to be Final Fantasy versus 13, like the person.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I always say
he's so mad about it.
He is so pissed about it. He's going to transform Kingdom Hearts to bring back Final Fantasy versus 13.
Oh, he is. Oh yeah.
Like I'm there for it. That's the game I want, man. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, that's what I want.
We make fun of Nomura as an edginess, but I just feel like that he brings edginess to like a true art form. Like he's the true master of like the art form.
Yeah, he is.
Edginess, you know. Like no one does edginess better than him, you know.
Yeah, I like to tease him, but you really got to look at like any Square Enix game I've played in my lifetime has had his name attached to it, and that's saying something like in a prominent way. Like it's like a lot of people just know him for the Kingdom Hearts crazy guy, but you look at like he's attached to all of the goats, man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I also love his like Marvel redesigns too. Do you ever see those action figures that he
did? Yeah.
Dude, imagine
he's gonna cook with Kingdom Hearts 4,
design like Darth Vader or something, you know?
Dude, it's gonna have Darth Vader and probably some Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Guys, before we head out though, what are you looking forward to seeing in Rebirth? Obviously, the conclusion we're all looking forward to, how they're gonna wrap it up. But areas you're looking forward to, maybe some plot beats, some stuff like that. I could start. I will say I'm looking forward to the Cloud mental thing, how it's all handled, like him and Tifa doing all that stuff, how they're going to bring all that together, Cloud's character.
That's the climax. That's the climax of part 3. That's going to be at the very end.
It's going to be fucking crazy. And
that's going to be chapter 13 of that game. It's going to be so cool.
Wutai is going to be crazy in this game. It's going to be way bigger, I bet. Yeah. Way more involved. They've been hyping Wutai up big time.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see that. And I want to snowboard, dude. I'm really looking forward to doing a backflip again as Cloud. That's going to be fun, dude.
Wutai I'm trying to remember. That's like the Yuffie betrayal, right?
She steals your materia. Yeah.
Are they gonna, do you think they're going to do that again?
Yeah. She'll probably have a reason to ditch the party.
Yeah,
some way. There's got to be some reason for them to go there.
Maybe Cloud's still.
I mean, the war could be a reason, but
she steals the black materia. That could be one more.
Or yeah, she could if she wants to use it for the Wutai war or something. Yeah,
that's true. Oh, that could be interesting to use the black materia in the Wutai war. That'd be fucking sick. I'm looking forward to the everything what Brad said about the mental thing. I'm looking forward to that being resolved, because if you remember at the very end of Final Fantasy VII, Cloud just has a completely different personality change. He's like super supportive of everyone. He's like, yeah, we can do this, and he's like talking to everybody, and is like really, really cool and like extroverted. It's gonna be so cool to hear Cody Christian just go from like his whatever like performance to like, hey everybody, like he just he sounds like a fucking YouTuber like by the end of Final Fantasy VII. It's gonna be amazing.
Jesus.
He's gonna be like, greetings and salutations, everybody.
Yeah.
I think
Dustin.
Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, Maddie, go ahead.
Dustin, go first if you want. Yeah.
All right, Dustin.
I think I was gonna say the Cloud when hit with him in the mental hospital just losing his mind.
Yeah, in the wheelchair.
In the wheelchair. Yeah. So
which we
I
saw
don't know
a little bit of that in this game. Yeah, we already saw Cloud in a wheelchair, so it's a little evocative.
Little
of that,
nod, little tease for you, Dustin.
Yeah. But I'm trying to think. It sucks because I need to replay the original again. Because I feel like I'm like, hey, for some reason, when I went to this game, I'm like, oh, I'm excited to go to Wutai. And then I remember like, oh yeah, that's not now. That's like way
that's
later.
early. You can do.
I mean, it would have been now. It would have been now. They moved it to the third game. So.
Oh, okay. So that's good. That affirms that I wasn't totally nuts thinking that like Wutai should have been in this game.
Gongaga, they just make Gongaga like super huge in this game.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
that makes me feel a lot better
because it's a side quest. It's not like mandatory, but I could be wrong about exactly where it comes in. It's been a while, but yeah, Maddie.
I bet that the third game is going to start in the snowy area, and we're going to go to.
They said they're going north at the end. So
yeah. I feel like starting in a snowy area is a good place to start like any video game, because a lot of good video games start that way. Also,
Red Dead too.
Red Dead, yeah.
But also like we'll be heading to Professor Gast's house, so then we'll be finding more about we're finding more about Aeris's past. So I feel like learning about Aeris as a historical figure, it's a good way to start the third game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to feeling the void of Aerith. I didn't walk away with the same takeaway Gene had. Like, Aerith is a good character to me. She's very funny. Like her mannerisms on screen during cutscenes, like she's got like an awkward energy to her that I think she's adorable. Like, she's very funny. And I think because I got so used to that, I'm gonna really feel her loss in the third game. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I respond in that way. I'm looking forward to that conversation between Cloud and Tifa, if they have it, I guess, where it's like outside the high wind. It's really before, I think, like the final fight.
It's near the end of the game.
Yeah. Like that one I'm really looking forward to, because that was a big moment and that was like a lot of, dialogue for a game in the late 90s. So I'm really curious to see like how they handle it there, with just how perfect the motion capture is for Final Fantasy VII's entire remake trilogy thus far, and how emotional that gets. I'm also interested in how I don't remember this. You guys are bigger experts than me on this part. Does the romance choices you make impact any of the third part of the game, if you will, the third arc? Like any of the choices you make in that middle section, like a Golden Saucer, is there any unique events you see?
So.
I can't recall off the top of my head.
Okay.
Because it was usually just between Aerith and Tifa, usually. Like those moments, I guess. But yeah, Aerith's gone now.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, I was just wondering if there was like a save carryover option that they could do, where like certain relationships would have unique interactions at certain points in the story like that. Like maybe conversation isn't just limited to Tifa, but depending on like you hang out with Barret, like maybe you talk to him out there or something like that. I don't know. Because I think it'd be kind of weird to drop those mechanics just after one game if they could use them.
He just wants his Barret relationship.
Yes. Please let me continue the romance.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that and then Vincent Valentine, man. Yeah.
Playing as Vincent.
Of course.
God damn, it's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah, that's the big one for me. Beyond the ending, just being able to control him, and because like he's awesome. Like I always put him in my party in the original, but when you think of Dirge of Cerberus, like I just play that game out of obligation. I'm just like, yeah, this guy's awesome. And now finally getting some justice done there. Like I don't hate Dirge of Cerberus, but it's definitely not like a great game. I'm not gonna sell anyone on that
either.
So it's I'm very excited to get him in a I think we could count on, if the third entry goes batshit insane, there's no good story here to be had, we can at least count on it being fun to play. So
I'm excited for that. Definitely. Yeah, totally. Dude, I cannot wait to see how they handle fighting the weapons. How they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
The weapons are fucking huge.
Yeah.
Or Knights of the Round.
Awesome.
Like,
oh my god, you are 100% gonna fight Knights of the Round. It's gonna be amazing.
We're gonna fight them, but then like when we summon them, is it just gonna be 12 kaiju just fucking stomping around the battlefield?
I hope so. That would be awesome.
So.
Is it a PS5 game? Is the question.
That's a great question. 4 years from now,
it better be a fucking PS5 game. I'm not fucking playing a trilogy across PS4, PS5, and PS6. That's bullshit.
It might, Maddie. It might be. It comes out on PS5, then like a year later, it's on PS6.
Yeah,
or hopefully all three,
game, something like that. Yeah.
Hopefully all three. Yeah,
all three, the complete edition.
Yeah,
and then in 2030, do we get a complete trilogy on one disc?
I hope so. That'd be amazing.
That'd be sick.
I would love that.
Yeah,
please.
Frankly, I'd be happy if they ported this game on every new system that comes out. Just do a new version of it, dude. Just cleaned up even more. That's what I want.
Even more, connect Midgar to the Outworld, like even more, and we're good, baby.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about. Game. Like I think about like so many of the bait and switch moments, like the PS3 tech demo with Final Fantasy VII. People were like, oh, they're remaking it, and they weren't. And then the best one was I think it was at E3 2015 or 14, where they're like, we're bringing Final Fantasy VII to the PlayStation 4, and it was. I mean, I'm not complaining. I like that they ported the game forward, but like, I remember though, everyone was waiting for the transition to it being a remaster or remake, and it just never happened.
It was just the original.
Iconic fucking moment in E3 history, man. Like that's why we need E3 back. Just you're not getting that stuff anymore. It's so
I miss
good.
Those moments.
So funny.
All right, boys. Final thoughts before we head out. Gene, final thoughts on everything. Anything.
God, what else is there to say? I feel like I could still talk so much more about this game.
We probably will more in the future.
For sure. Yeah. But yeah, I'm so glad to finally get all this out of my head with you guys. And for me, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is still the game of the year. Even in light of Dragon's Dogma 2, and honestly, I know we're kind of talking offline about Dragon's Dogma 2 and our problems with that. I actually think Part 1 is actually better. I'm not even sure how much I love Part. I'm not even sure how much I love Part 2 right now. Actually, so absolutely, I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the game of the year 2024, baby.
Sick, dude. Fuck yeah,
it's so good. Even if Dragon's Dogma 2 was like amazing, like I would still consider Rebirth like the game of the year. So
yeah, Dustin, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I love this game. I want to go back and do some of the other side stuff when I want to wait a little bit, so I'm like longing to go back, because right now I'm kind of just enjoying playing other games since I played this game for like a month straight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so far I would say it's my game of the year. So far, it's tough because I came right off of Persona 3 Reload, which I also think is it's tougher since that's a remake. So I want to. Well, I guess this is kind of a remake too, but not quite to the same degree. But yeah, man, I feel like I've been feasting between Persona 3 Reload, then this, and now I'm playing Balatro, which I've been having so that's the card building roguelike game that's like poker hands.
Is it good?
It's amazing.
Yeah, Maddie, I've heard nothing.
I really want to try it. I saw the reviews were insane for it, and I was like, okay, I
have it. I'm going to try it out tonight.
Nice.
I need to play it.
I started playing it last Wednesday, and so Holly played my account for a little bit, but my Steam playtime is at 22 hours.
Nice.
Jesus. So, all right.
Wow,
but
that's crazy.
It's an interesting dilemma where there's some things I'm like, dude, Balatro is one of the most original, gameplay-focused, addicting games I've ever played in my entire life.
Okay.
You could argue for it being GOTY. But then I think about Rebirth, and I'm like, but this is the maximalist AAA game here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. It's Game of the Year is kind of stupid when you think about it. It's like there doesn't have to be one, but it's probably Rebirth.
Nice. Matty.
Hello.
Final thoughts.
Yeah. Let's see here. I think Dustin got my head spinning on Game of the Year, and I'm gonna have a tough time this year, no doubt, because the JRPG pickings have been great. It's been so great. I've missed out on a great one in Yakuza. I really wanted to try that out, but I don't think I'm going to get to it this year because there's Persona 3 Reload, which I thought was incredible. Rebirth is incredible. Trails Through Daybreak is incredible. Dragon's Dogma 2 is incredible, and we're at April, so we'll see where it all ends up. But yeah, for me, this is definitely in the mix. I would say Trails Through Daybreak still the GOTY right now for me. It's not kind of fair to Rebirth at that point. You're talking about 9-10 games worth of investment versus I guess if you really look at Final Fantasy VII, it's getting close to that. Yeah, there's quite a few, so it's getting close there. But I guess with Trails, that discovery and that continuing storyline just works really well for me, and the evolutions they made in that game really spoke to me. Where I'm impressed with that because it's an indie dev too, which is awesome. But yeah, like Rebirth is, again, one of the most impressive games I've ever played. So it'll definitely be, I imagine, in my top 5. But yeah, I've just been really adoring the JRPG offerings this year. Like I always said that, like at the top of the year, if you are a JRPG fan, like you just got so much good stuff here. But then Dragon's Dogma 2 is knocking on the door, man. Like I just run out into that open world and just do crazy cool shit and have my own stories to tell there that are on the level of like giving me that excitement Rebirth does, but in its own unique way. So just really fun time to be gaming. It's awesome that when my AAA interest is waning, I've just gotten slammed with some really unique, great offerings. So it's like, okay, cool. Like I'm not crazy. We just need to up the quality here. That's all. So really been digging it. But yeah, good to be here as it's almost midnight now. So yeah,
I was gonna say thank you guys for joining me. I know it's so late. We had to do it later, unfortunately, but I'm glad we got to do it. So thank you guys for,
of course,
willing to stay up late. I appreciate it.
Of course.
And Rebirth, I loved it. It's going to stay with me for a long time. I think about it a lot when I'm not playing it still, the story. So it's very exciting for me. I'm very happy. It'll be my GOTY no matter what. Even if it's not the best game to me, it's going to just a special place in my heart, I just love it.
It means a lot. Final Fantasy games mean a lot to people.
Yeah.
Especially when you grow up with them. So.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Everyone, if you made it to this far to the end, thank you for watching and listening. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for letting us ramble. Make sure to check us out on patreon.com/laststandmedia if you enjoy our content. We appreciate it. And that's it. We will see you guys all again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Sacred Symbols, a PlayStation podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is conceived by, is written by, and is directed by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-hosts are Chris Raygun Maldonado and Dustin Furman. The show is produced by executive producer Dustin Furman. It's edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by my best friend, Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand's shows, including Sacred Symbols, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor. Thank you.